Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new edition of Proving Grounds. The November Invitational is here, inviting teams that have won various open tournaments throughout the week. This is gonna be a lot of fun to watch these teams go at it. My name is Kyon. I am joined by the person that we had to pull 15 minutes before we started today, J King. First of all, J King, before I toss over to you, thanks. Happy to see you around on such short notice. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys bringing me on it, even with such short notice. I got the message and I was immediately like, oh, I might be interested. So I'm definitely very excited, especially for a tournament of this caliber with some of these teams. I'm incredibly excited to see what we got going on today.
Yeah, for sure. Just the edification here, fellow co-combat staff, unfortunately, a little bit under the weather, so J King's here to fill in. But J King, we got ourselves a proving ground. Newest edition of it as well. We got where teams with that have won various open tournaments, I believe throughout the month, getting invited to this one. We're down to however, have found ourselves in a situation where you have a handful of teams to be this way. So we'll be actually running around 3 rounds worth of round robin, all of them best of 5 here today. And the first one that we got coming up in store for the record, J King, is going to be Honkai versus. We'll shorten it to Yushi, but I'll give this this team name a chance. Yushi were gezwungen. I hope I got that right.
I cannot say for sure. I do not know off the top of my head. But from what I know about these teams, Honkai is actually a decently established team. To my knowledge, they are all familiar playing together. Whereas Yushi, I think, is actually a I think they might have been a pickup team because I know the members might be on separate teams. So I definitely think it's gonna be interesting.
It's, I believe, from the Sendo bios that we have here, it's actually just blank Z with an additional member. I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing it. I think it's Dismake or Dismage. For on the side of Yushi, so basically you could say it's a pickup, or just blank Z +1, in that regard. But so yeah, very established team. As you mentioned, they're here with Honkai. We got Yushi on the other side. They'll be playing a round 1 best of 5 coming up here, and for those who are trying to get familiar with what the maps are, hey, it's zones only. Everybody loves a little zones only here, so everybody will get a chance to see what the zones maps happen to be. And the first one we're gonna kick things off here. Hagglefish Market Zones to get us started here in this best of 5. And J King, I know you mentioned that you're pretty excited to see all the teams play. I'm kind of excited to see how both these teams play in all the zones map that we have across the board.
Yeah, I think the one zones map that I haven't watched too much as of recently, but Mincemeat, I know that's going to be an interesting one, but for the first one, Hagglefish, in my opinion, I love Hagglefish. I think it is easily one of my favorite maps to play on, like, any mode. So I definitely think this one's going to be interesting, especially considering the comps that they might bring out. Ooh, we actually have a double crab, I think, on the side of Honkai there, which is going to be incredibly interesting. So, and it's also the Slaughtershot Pro, which obviously we know got a buff. So I'm curious how this is gonna do.
You know, when you think double crab here, J King, you don't normally think of the vanilla pro at all in that setup. But you know that there too, the buff that the pro got is gonna be pretty solid. As we are getting to see members just all taking on across the board. Usually is gonna be wiped out entirely. Honkai now with the advantage, they're gonna get a quick lead change up ahead. But look at how Honkai just moves straight off. They plant the crab onto that left side canopy, and now this is looking to be possibly a lot more points on the board here, J King.
Yeah, with that crab pretty much posted up on the canopy there, they're going to have the hard time. The Kraken trying to get them out of there, but they are going to be able to avoid it as the shot does go down. So it's a bit of a 2v4 situation over for Honkai right now. Yushi going to be able to close it out, getting Kabi there. They are going to be able to take the zone back into their lead, but they got to get the dually out of that flank, and it seems like they're immediately able to follow up on it.
You know, I was getting a little worried there. You and I were both thinking the same thing. Will the dualies actually get to pull off the flank there, but completely denied there too. And Yushi needed to get that zone flip, buy themselves a little bit more time on that side. Which, speaking of Yushi's group there, they got a Kraken on that heavy splatling Deco, which I don't normally see every day. But I like to say hello to that squeezer with the screen there, the foil squeezer. So screen is enabled. Both teams agreed to the screen. It looks like for this particular best of 5. So I'm gonna be intrigued to see how the screen does its job to basically zone out the rest of Honkai when they're trying to move up ahead. Crab has been used right away. They're going to be the one pushed down on the penalty points. So that's going to be the thing I'm going to be intrigued to see what Yushi's going to do. But Honkai's going to be out of the penalty points here soon here, JK.
Yeah, with Honkai being almost out of those penalty points, they definitely could mount a pretty sizable lead here if Yushi is not really able to do much here. We do see one of them trying to go over to the left, but we do see the Zuka coming out from Yushi, not going to be able to find any value as they are immediately going to get rushed down. Two going down onto the side of Yushi. Honkai is just locking them out so hard that they are just struggling to get back in.
And this is just Honkai playing as a unit, just trying to get everybody out of the picture. They're already they planted the duelies so far in. It's not going to give Yushi a chance to fight back, and this best of 5 is just going to end in favor of Honkai. There, it's a great start overall. The total aggression, they realized to gain that wipeout advantage, gets them as far as they could. Then just trying to hold that line just for as long as they could. And hey, Honkai off to a fantastic start. Got KO in map 1 here in the best of 5 here in the group stages.
Yeah, Honkai, like, even with that slight little hiccup that they had where Yushi was able to get a little bit of a lead there, or not necessarily much of a lead, but able to try and get the zone back, it definitely, like, after that, Honkai was just pretty much, like, thoroughly in control. Like, at that point, they were just rushing in, really just holding them off. Like, as we see here in the replay, the dualies able to just immediately rush in, just hold the squeezer back from actually trying to do anything, just providing so much value and being such a good distraction that Yushi just doesn't have time to get back in.
Yeah, and Yushi just basically need to find any clearance that they could. Honkai is just moving right up ahead when they needed to, and just finding all sorts of aggression that they could make work. And Honkai will take home map number 1. And hey, J-King, when was the last time you have seen mincemeat zones anywhere? In a zones-only tournament, you're expected to see this, most likely, but when was the last time you've seen mincemeat zones?
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest here, almost never, because if I ever did play mincemeat, it was in SOS when they brought back Rainmaker.
Fair enough. I don't blame you one bit. But in mincemeat metalwork zones, the last time I saw this was last year exactly, Sinnoh Q Season 1 finale, where a lot of the top level teams had mincemeat zones in their rotation. This is actually one of those zones maps where I can somewhat forgive because of the large zone, but zone down the middle. But there are many different ways that both teams can attack. And I think one team actually threw in mincemeat zones as a preferred map there on their rotation. So that if my understanding of the map pools works on the zones only tournament. Hey, welcome to mincemeat zones. If you wanted to avoid it during your anarchy runs, you can't avoid them here. But I'm sure both teams want to get as much prize as they can. On to map number 2 here, J-King. This should be intriguing to say the least.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be pretty intriguing. Ooh, we're going to see a double splatling and a lobber coming out on the side of Yushi there, but it does seem like Honkai is going to pretty much stay with their typical comp. But this is such an interesting comp over on the side of Yushi. They're actually going coolerless here, which I always love to see. But at the same time, I think it's going to be really interesting how they're going to handle it because, in my opinion, this map favors Crab from Honkai so heavily, especially if they're able to get onto either side of the truck. Like, they're just holding them down at that point.
You know what's more interesting that I saw from Yushi? Their 2 weapon swaps puts them in a double Inkstorm setup, by the way, for their specials. It's the Blob and the Nautilus too with double Inkstorm. So that's one special you don't normally see double of, and that's what I'm gonna be intrigued to see how this is gonna really play out here as the class is already on to goal and Hero down side. So is able to find a few more, and it's actually already gonna be 3 members down. Crafting's popped on the left hand side. Lead is gonna change hands there for Honkai, and actually a little bit of a lob shot for the Crab. He actually gets the final spot on the power route, and it's gonna be 2 members going down, and Yushi's still stuck in the back foot here, Jacob to get the game going.
Yeah, Yushi is just really on the back foot right now. Honkai just has such good control, and I feel like that's the reason, like, they're playing so well, is that they just have so much map control that they are just giving no quarter as Paduru just getting randomly shot out by Izuka from Honkai. Like, what even was that? They just did not expect that. Nilla playing that so well over onto that right side, but the dualies, what in the world was that?
Okay, the next time I see someone trying to style with the dualies by rolling the gain a few shots out, okay, I'm gonna have to ask a lot of questions right out of the gate. That was slick. That was pretty cool. I'll give you that. But more importantly, it's actually being able to extend her lead just a little bit more. The zone's gonna stay neutral for just a few quick moments. Now there's a part of the Inkstorm at least trying to zone out Honkai as much as they could, but they can't even get paint down onto that zone as much as they can. It's a nice little response from Honkai. Taking out the shot should help a little bit more. They do get the much needed zone split, puts the Honkai in huge penalty points. But J-King, it's 7 to 9 points remaining, and Yushi has a long way to go.
I feel like, in my opinion, what Yushi is struggling with slightly is that even though they do have the double storm, I feel like their pain output compared to Honkai is just like a little bit struggling because they have weapons like the shot and the dualies, which are very good at getting aggressive and getting a lot of off angles to really paint. But also that headed had like I think a lot of people don't understand that don't underestimate headed in terms of how much it can actually paint. That thing can be a paint menace. So if you're not able to get that thing out of there, you're gonna have a bit of a troubling time.
That's a very strong point too. Just the paint output out of Honkai is gonna be strong there as well. They also have they also have two mid-range weapons there with the pro and that heavy edit there. It's actually gonna be 3 members on just the heavy Splatling Deco, the only one alive. I take that back. Said smoked a little too soon there. The heavy they're gonna go down as well. And now Honkai's just moving further and further up ahead, just trying to zone out Yushi. They're gonna go down for their troubles. Though 2 members going down on top of it. Now note that the edit has the cooler, which they're not even gonna need that whatsoever. This should be GG well played here, J King. Honkai should be able to. And as long as the zone stays neutral, there you go. Game 2 is going to belong to Honkai. 2-0 set lead so far in round 1.
Yeah, that was a very commanding game compared to the first one by Honkai. Like, even when Yushi was able to get in, like, they struggled to really hold it. And I feel like we could really see that at one point when, I think it was like, what, Double Storm? It was the Double Storm comp.
Yep.
And they had a moment where they, like, threw both of them on there. And even with the Blobber and everybody shooting, they just weren't able to cap the point. And I feel like that's the thing. Even though they have a lot of painting specials and, like, weapons that seemingly have some decent paint output, like Blobber, they weren't really able to capitalize on it compared to the consistency that things like the dualies, the shot, and the heavy and the headed have. So I feel like it just really put Yushi in a weird spot there.
It lends credence to what you're noting there too, because Yushi also ran only just the shot up front, and then you have what the composition laid out here, just a Nautilus, a Blob, and a heavy Splatling Deco. Like your main aggression is going to be the shot anyway. And then of course Monkai's just gonna try to mow you down with the shot and the dualies. A little bit more aggression and a lot more pain output. It's kind of a tall task for, and that's how it ends in Mincemeat Zones. Now we go back from one oddball map to something that may be a little bit more in line here in Barnacle and Dine Zones. That's gonna be game 3 coming up here, and of course the remaining zones map that we're seeing here in Umami and Mahi. If we get to the fabled reverse sweep territory that Yushi needs, but from what we see, J King, Honkai is pretty much playing as well as they can with the comp that they have, and I'm curious to see what the adaptations will be from Yushi.
With how quick the game is getting started, I don't know if Yushi's going to be going the same comp. No, it seems like they're swapping it up a little bit. Ooh, we're going to see some Minty Cav and also some Tetra dualies. So, ooh, that's a C Junior. What? Honkai, what are you cooking up right now?
Hi, Nilla on the C Junior. When was the last time anybody has seen a C Junior in any place that you can expect? And hey, Custom Junior, as a Custom Junior apologist, I love that weapon as much as I do, with the paint output that it has and the wave breaker if you want to use that for zoning potential. And Honkai's gonna be going 2 down right out of the gate there. They do cap the zone pretty well. But while all were distracted by the C Junior, usually, by the way, going 3 weapon swaps to try to counter Honkai's playstyle so far.
Yeah, it seems something interesting from Honkai is that they're running a double bubble comp. We actually have we have the V Junior. Ooh, what was that? Getting a very quick splat over there from Yushi with that decap. The Honkai trying to take control of the right stack, has to watch out for this Reef Slider, but no, the Reef is going to get punished pretty much immediately. And the cooler is going to come out. This could potentially be a little bit of advantage for Honkai here, as they are going to potentially, and they do, kept the zone. And I feel like the thing that a lot of people like that I have seen about this map is that if you take control of their stack area, like we see Honkai doing now, they are going to, the enemy team is going to have a hard time getting back in, because right there controls so much space. Like, especially with the crab comp, if the dualies is able to just sit on that stack, they can fire from where the rail is and a lot of other angles. So at that point, they're struggling to get back in.
The struggle continues to be a little bit real here for Yushi, but they are going to take out the pro, and there's going to be the second member down at that stage. Should be enough time to get the zone split. Yes, they will, using the Reef Slider for the assist. And it's going to be 2 members going, by the way, still going down for Honkai, and maybe a slight little retreat there, just to give themselves a little bit more time there on that side of the map. As members are going to slowly go down, Yushi at least buy themselves a little bit more time. Actually, kind of a bit of a brawl, to say the least. Yushi's going to go down to the pro, which I did not expect the pro to get a little bit more splats than they do, but they're doing a great job at it. And J King, Honkai stays off of an attempted Yushi counter push, and they get the zones back just like that.
Yeah, it seems like they just really know how to take control of those zones here. Ooh, we see the heavy gonna be getting into a bit of a tight spot right there. Woomy getting insanely aggressive with this crab, just holding their spawn, being able to get a pick onto the junior there, just getting so aggressive onto this ledge. Could potentially find a pick onto the decap, but I don't think they are. They're gonna get a bit of a quick jump out as we do see the crab coming out from the pro there. Taro just watching over on this top left side as at this point Yushi is stuck in the lockout. Honkai just has this left stack so in control that they are just gonna struggle to get back in, even with the Tetra having the reef slider.
Power of also recognizing where you are at each stage of the game here too, as we do get to see the Tetra Julie trying to use the reef slider to counter the zone flip. It isn't gonna matter a whole lot, and unfortunately with 3 members down, there's not gonna be enough chance for a counter push, and that Splatoon Dismake should seal it. That is gonna be a 3-0 sweep here in round number 1 to kick off Proving Grounds, the November edition of Proving Grounds there. And Honkai having a rough, the other way around. Yushi having a rough go of trying to respond to Honkai's aggression, and no responses whatsoever. Even the C Junior even the C Junior changed. They were still able to deliver a 3rd KO here on the board.
Yeah, that was a bit of an interesting change, but I feel like the thing that just works so well for Honkai is like they kind of played to a lot of their weapon strengths. Kind of like as you pointed out in the last game, Yushi, their comp, they didn't really have a lot that was really like meant for the front lines. Like they had 2 mid lines, which was the 2 sort of midline weapons, which is the Nautilus and the Heavy Deco. But this one, it seemed like they did try and come out with a little bit more of an aggressive comp, especially with the Tetras, the Decav, and the Junior. But I feel like the thing was, since they don't really have a lot of specials to get back in, that's the problem compared to something like Honkai. Like, for Honkai, they have the cooler, obviously, but they also have the Wavebreaker for identification, and also they have double crabs, so, like, they can easily use, like, crabs on different angles to just push right back in, whereas Yushi just struggles a tiny bit because really the only pushing special that they have is the Reef Slider.
And that's kind of, and you pretty much nailed the exact point. There's like, what other specials can you use to try to go right in? They have what, double bubble? I guess you could use the Kraken. There as well. The Reef Slider was also there available from Yushi, but I think they may try to use the Reef Slider in a little bit more of a, we got to get the zones back as soon as they can. We're having to operate a few steps behind in that zones map altogether, and pretty much what you know, they're just not enough oof to deal with. You know, they're the double crab, I guess for some places, the unconventional double crab because of the Vanilla Pro, but hey, Vanilla Pro making its resurgence is going to mean a whole lot. So I think you touched on some great points there. Honkai is going to start off this Proving Grounds group stages with a 3-0 sweep. So that's a really good start for Honkai.
Yeah, Honkai already going in with a pretty big bang right now, but I think we're just I'm definitely curious to see what the other sets have right now. I think we actually have some of our games being finished up over on the other side, like we have SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land and Triggerfish Zones Supremacy. It's actually a pretty close one from what I can see, so I'm definitely curious to see how some of these teams go, especially Triggerfish Zones Supremacy, which a lot of people know who they are. A lot of people know Triggerfish Zones, running some very goofy comms, but it works for them, and I love to see it. But
my only story to tell you, J King, while we're waiting for that setup, is as the person who knows Triggerfish Zone Supremacy very well, and for a lot of really strong reasons there too, J King. They have a soft spot in my heart. That's all I could really say about that. I always love their style play that they've dished out. I also, again, know most of the players there personally too. So, for all that being said, TZS is gonna be a fun team to just watch. Just in general, not just for this tournament, but also in other places that you'll see them be. Of course, though, they are down 2-1 to the other team that's also participating there, which is the SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land, which is a great name, by the way. Just gonna put that out there. But yeah, that other side is actually just currently in a 2-1, still waiting to see if the result goes to all 5 or if it ends in 4. So we're gonna see how that plays out.
I'm not gonna lie, TFC does have a lot of ability to come to have some pretty major comebacks. So I'm not sure what we will exactly see, but I'm definitely very excited. I'm very curious to see how Yushi is gonna going later into the tournament, because this was technically a bit of an upset, because even though there are only 4 teams, Honkai was seeded 3rd, whereas Yushi was seeded 2nd. So slightly bit of an upset, but with the way Honkai was playing, I feel like, yeah, on paper. But I feel like Honkai definitely has a lot going for them in this tournament, especially with the way they were playing. Woomy, in my opinion, was a really big standout there with the dualies. Like, Woomy was just getting in just so aggressive onto so many different angles, like on the ledge at on a ledge on Barnacle, especially on also the first game where they were just getting insanely aggressive on Hagglefish over into their spawn, right into their court. Like at that point, they just couldn't do anything. So like Wumi, in my opinion, was a pretty standout player.
Yeah, and the way Honkai has generally played so far, they look pretty strong overall as a unit from there. And I think I will admit I definitely see Honkai around, but with everything that has been muddied in my very silly little memory brain here in the past year, you've seen them a lot in a lot of tournaments across the board, and this shouldn't really come as a surprise for those who are very familiar with Honkai style play and Honkai's play overall. So I love to see how far Honkai gets in terms of group stages. Now, because you mentioned before, we have 4 teams. Everybody's pretty much playing to see where they get seated in the final stages. Here, or bracket stages, if you will. So every match still definitely counts for how the season's gonna play out. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see how each team basically gets to play each other in each best of 5 that they have, especially with the zones maps they end up picking in their pool.
Yeah, the zones maps I'm definitely curious to see, because I think the ones that I swear to God, well, it's not that bad, but
no,
but I do hope to see some of the other games. Yeah, I do want to see like Umami Zones as one of them. I do actually like playing that one. I think it's a very interesting map, especially when you get into like the lockout phase. So I hope we do get to see a bit of variety with the maps that people select here.
Yeah. So to my knowledge, with all 4 of the teams, they have picked a pool of 6 zones maps, and it all just gets thrown into let's say you got 2 teams playing around. They got 12 maps. They gets thrown into a, let's say, a hat somewhere, and then the maps just get drawn to round out your map pools for that 5. We saw Honkai dish out the mincemeat zones, which is again a zones map not many people will get to see unless you see a lot of zones only tournaments, of course. But other teams, I'll put it this way, have some very interesting map choices. But of course, with the map pool that you have for zones, it shouldn't come as a surprise. So there should be some wacky setups to say the least across the board. But hey, depends on how it really just depends on how the map pools, or how the best of 5 map sets play out. JK, I think we're still waiting to hear on the results for the other side, so we can give ourselves a quick little breather here just to wait up for the second for the second set. So when we come back, everybody, we'll get round 2 squared away once we get the results from TZS versus Squidward. We'll see you guys here in a bit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Proving Grounds November Invitational. I am King, joined once again by Kyon. How you doing after that first set there?
The first set happened so swiftly, due to Honkai's dominance. I love to see that. And now we got ourselves a second matchup, which I believe, from what we heard from the site, should be TZS matchups. This should be a lot of fun to watch. I have a lot of things I could say about TZS, but we just saw Yushi from the previous side. Both teams 0-1 for 0-1 here, and just note, it's all pretty much for seeding purposes. All 4 teams will be qualifying here, so everybody's just getting a little bit of round of practice, and I and I kind of like to see it. King, what else do you want to know for TZS?
TZS, I kind of know how they play. I've gone against them in tournaments a few times, but even then, I still love seeing them play. So I'm very curious to see what they're gonna bring out here. Kraken, we know the Brush, we know them pretty well. So overall, I'm very interested, especially because of the way that the maps work in this tournament. I know that the first map we're going to be going to is actually Splat Zones Hagglefish once again. So we kind of have an idea of how that one would work, but with TZS, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do, especially against Yushi, because Yushi, I don't actually remember what their comp was in the first map that they did for this. So I know they had the heavy deco. I remember they had that pretty much throughout the entire set for the Kraken, so I'm very curious to see what they're going to bring out.
They definitely had the heavy deck, but they also had a variety of different weapons that they were trying to pretty much flex in and out, but everything was centralized on that heavy Splatling deco from earlier, so Yushi just trying to get themselves at least back into a better seed position here, and TZS also did the same thing, both going 0-1 against their respective matchups, so love to see what both teams do dish this out. And you know, there too, Hagglefish Market. I was supposed to say tower control because I'm used to seeing tower control. No, it's not tower control. Zones. It's only zones. Here, Hagglefish Market Zones is gonna be the opener once more for in our stream side. So this should be a lot of fun. Again, if you've known TZS, you'll kind of have an idea on what they're gonna dish out there. The ultimate question, the only odd one, is trying to see what Yushi wants to dish out for their specific comps, because King, we know that from Yushi in the previous set, anything goes basically for their weapons so far.
Yeah, I was about to say anything goes, especially after we saw the first Hagglefish game and then immediately going to Mincemeat. That one was already interesting. So as we see this, we're going to be getting in, and we are going to see a little bit of a similar comp to previously, and we are going to see Triggerfish bringing out a bit of a classic comp, bringing out the CX Blow, the Tri Nouveau, the Brush, and the Junior as well. So I feel like this is going to be a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, this is gonna be a very fun game. I'll be honest with that too, especially with the way TZS wants to play as a group. You know some of their staples there for those who aren't familiar. But in case you guys aren't familiar, you got Vapor pretty much on that X-Blow, pretty much their primary backline player there, as Yushi's actually gonna get the first control of the zones right out of the gate. But for Yushi's side, they're actually going to be bringing back the Tetras and the Nautilus just for this map combined alone. They had the Nautilus in map 2, Tetras in map 3, so it was kind of an oddball combination, to say the least. They're trying to dish this one out here, and so far the results are kind of showing at this stage. And the pick on the Spork does happen, and they're halfway through this game, and there may be a whole lot more coming up here, King.
Yeah, I feel like the problem is Triggerfish is getting so staggered with how Yushi is playing that they're really having a hard time getting back in. They really have to try and find some sort of special to get in. They have to pop the Cooler or probably even the Whale. We do see the Explode does have the splashdown, but I don't really know if they're going to be able to get into the best advantage to really use it, as we do see Yushi popping pretty much all their specials. We do see the Kraken coming in. It's going to hold them off a little bit. The Reef going to be stopping that in the midway.
Ooh.
The splashdown almost going to be able to cap the zone. We do see the bubble up. They could potentially find something here. Triggerfish is almost out of the advantage, but no, the flank coming in from Yushi, and Triggerfish just getting Yushi getting an easy, like, 100-0 KO there.
Almost getting a little scared at the end. TZS almost had other ideas, trying to rush on zone. I mean, at that point, when you're around like 10, maybe 15 points remaining, your focus is to just get any sort of cap onto the zone, and they almost got it. So to be quite frank, you're going to see a few replays here. The few things I was wondering about is how did the paint fly so quickly there? Vapor took a quick flat bomb there, so couldn't do too much damage, and Vapor also had to use the triple splashdown as they could, but they weren't in a great position to do so. And we see, yeah, the triple splashdown helped neutralize it, but by the time that happened, Pyro and the rest of Yushi were also moved up with them. Everybody else was just kind of taking out of the picture here from Triggerfish. So 1-0 start for Yushi. Nice little rebound. And what I'm going to be intrigued to see is what map 2 is going to end up becoming, because you noted before, the map was quite interesting, and here we are, it's Flounder Zones.
Oh god, Flounder Zones. So, from what I know, this one was actually Triggerfish's pick. So, yeah. I feel like they're probably gonna have a little bit more advantage here, especially considering the amount of height that this map has. Like, I definitely think the Tri and the Expo are gonna have a lot of advantage here. So, I'm pretty much expecting those to be pretty much an immediate pick. As we are going to be getting into our next map here, we do see the Slosher and the Dynamo coming out on the side of Yushi, and we are going to see pretty much the same comp coming out from TFC as usual.
Yeah, Triggerfish Zones Supremacy just gonna stick to what they know best. Yushi's not gonna stick to what they know best. They're just gonna change weapons across the board, which I love seeing different weapons all around. So I love the flexibility they have. Hi Dynamo though, you have a cooler available, so that's what I'm gonna be intrigued to see. Actually, I think Dynamo just works really well in Flounder Heights in general, so love to see what that plays out. But it's gonna be about the Sloshers. I feel like with the way this map is super laid out right now. But TZS is actually gonna get the first cap of the zone, at least for no correction. It was Yushi that will be getting the first cap of the zone. TZS is actually going multiple members down in quick succession there, and DRF is being chased out. It is gonna be just 90 to 100 because of this being the 2-zone map. So J-King, Yushi's back to where they were once going, and they taken 3 members out of TCS just like that.
Yeah, TZS really having a bit of a struggle on this map again. On not necessarily this map, but they are definitely having a little bit more of a struggle as they did in the previous one. Yushi just really holding this advantage. I feel like the thing is as well, they just have so many weapons that really hold a lot of different angles, and they have a decent amount of pain with the weapons that they have. Like Tetras for getting pretty aggressive, Slosher because of the strikes, and it also just does a lot of paint. Which is the main thing. The Dynamo, obviously, for providing a lot of cover fire, but they can get pretty aggressive. The Tetris here on Yushi is just getting so aggressive, just becoming such a nuisance for TZS that they're just not able to get in.
He's already having a rough go at it, and the cooler's already being dished out there. Smork's gonna go down. This could be another 100-0 finish here. If the counter attack isn't quite there, there is the special actually being used to get a cap on the zone. They actually are waiting just a little bit more to punish the jumps, but they are forcing this one into a neutral state. Could at least buy TZS a little bit more time here to get both zones if they're able to do so. But members going down left to right and maybe center, and this should spell the end of it. Wipeout is gonna be the cherry on top of this one. Yushi is definitely roaring back with a lot more style here in game number 2, taking home maybe the last time we may end up seeing Flounder Zones the rate we're going here, but who knows? That map will show up later sometime. Yushi up 2-0 in round 2.
Yeah, Yushi just pretty much taking that pretty handily there. Another quick 100-0 knockout there. So I feel like the thing that Yushi is really doing well is that they're taking a lot of angles and they're really using a lot of their aggressive weapons to just like kind of hold them down. And as you can see in the replay, Yushi just using the Kraken, just waiting for Smork to jump down, just like, come on, do it. And immediately getting that pick there. And I feel like the thing was TZS could have gotten something here, but I feel like once they got immediately hit by the Reef Slider there at the end, over on the side over with the Tetras, like at that point it was basically just a guaranteed knockout for Yushi there. So TZS onto the next map, which I feel like they could do pretty well in, which is going to be Zones Mahi.
Zones Mahi is pretty much Mahi's best map mode anywho, so this is good. So both teams should have some practice to a level degree, and I know this has, stop me if you heard this one before. It will be Yushi changing weapons once again. It is the Mint Decav and the Junior making experience for this particular map mode altogether. TZS is just sticking to what they know best. I'm not surprised by that one. So the question for TZS is how do they adapt their style to whatever Yushi's kind of just dishing out at them for whatever it's worth.
I feel so. Yushi, I've actually noticed, is going the same comp that they did on the Barnacle and Dime game on their first set. So this is definitely going to be interesting, especially considering they have the double bubble comp, and the Tetras is pretty much the Tetras and potentially the Kraken is going to be one of their ways to get in. But we do see TZS already taking a little bit more of an advantage state here. Kraken, I really thought that was about to fall off the map, but they survived. So that's a good thing, but TZS could potentially get this X-Blow into a pretty decent spot here if they can potentially getting up on right side, but they have to watch for this Decap who does have the bubble ready. Ooh, getting taken out right before the bubble actually pops.
Then immediately called out the bubble and it's just like, nah, forget that. They had to taking out the Decap is going to help out matters, but they did have to give any sort of control they have around the zone. Splat bombs being dished out there as well, and I know I was looking at that Kraken there as well. It's like, are you going to fall into the water? Just a little unfortunate in this case. and it looks like that, but it looks like they were able to stay alive there. The nice little splat bomb I pick, I believe, taking out Vapor as well, and this is kind of a brawl for the zone to say the least. They're having to use the crack in the zone, but they left DRF unchecked on that flank side. Lead is going to change hands for just a quick few moments there, but it will be 3 members going down. We may be seeing another lead change here in the waning moments. Yeah, they're taking out all the stragglers, and now DRF and TZS possibly in position to get a lot more. Oh, definitely so. DRF just takes out Sheldon, and this is gonna be a lead change coming up here. But this is gonna be interesting here, J King. We're finally about 1:40 into the game, and the water level now finally drops.
Yeah, usually the water level drops at least like much earlier, but we do see it dropping now. TZS does have a little bit of advantage when it comes to the specials. They are going to be able to pop some of them, but unfortunately they are going to go down pretty quickly. The splashdown coming in, not going to be able to find a pick as the Tetris trying to get the explode down. They almost getting taken out here, but the Reslider is going to come in, try and save them, but no, the Junior is going to be right there. Smork immediately following that up as TZS could potentially find some sort of advantage here to get back in.
Yeah, now the question for TZS, they were losing so many points. I think Yushi are finding some of these entry points, trying to throw TZS a little bit off their game, but TZS is responding in kind, taking out 2 members out. There's actually both bubble users going down, so you have to rebuild that bubble there as well. Especially with the lack of a cooler option available, they're gonna need to take some time to get those bubbles back online if they want to take advantage. Pyro just lets the splat bomb take him out there from that side. Kraken with a nice little splat bomb throw is able to take him out just like that. And everybody else is just trying to move a little bit forward there. Kraken's going to be eliminated there out of that picture. The bubble is going to be popped just like that. They're out the penalty points, but for how long is the question here, J King, as it's going to be 37 points remaining, and now they're back in the penalty points once again, but at least they take a couple more points off the board.
Yeah, they are able to get some points off the board. I feel like if Yushi is really able to take advantage over on this left side, especially, like that's one place I feel like it has to be watched a lot, especially when it comes to weapons that have like a lot of ledge damage. So I feel like that's the main thing you gotta watch for. Yushi gonna be able to pop the crack and almost gonna get pick over on the DRM. DRM trying to get out of there, trying to get a pick, but no, they're gonna get taken down midway, and we might have a lead change. No, TZS holding it off, almost getting it capped there, but no, Yushi gonna be able to take the zone back here. TZS really trying their best to get something out of here. It is going to be a 3v3 situation. The splashdown is ready over on the side of Vapor. Vapor could potentially get a very quick splashdown to try and cap the zone here, but it seems like they're just gonna kind of wait. Kraken getting a little bit aggressive here, trying to just paint off, but at the same time, over on the right side, Dismage gonna be able to pop that bubble. Kraken trying to get a bit of a flank. Gonna get taken out. DRF holding that snipe. Vapor, the splashdown gonna come in. Not gonna be able to find anybody as the Restarter comes in. And I believe finds one. Sheldon and Golda just holding the zone so well right now.
Yeah, holding the zone for Dynamite, and TCS tried to play a little zones flip game right down the middle there, and they end up losing out on paint advantages there, which just kind of buys the mid decap time to just get a little sneaky stroll around the side, and just say, nah, we're just gonna cut this one out, cut that out there, TCS. As it stands, this gets another 3-0 sweep on the board here in round 2, and Yushi with a nice little rebound. Yushi improves to 1-1 in groups, 0-2 for TZS. But again, this is pretty much 4 seeding, so that's all it's gonna be. But Yushi, honestly, nice little rebound from them.
Yeah, Yushi definitely having a bit of a struggle at the beginning there, like on their first set, but they really came back swinging in my opinion. They just immediately knew how to take advantage and just took it. So I feel like that was like, especially that ending like rumble, that was insane because like TZS got so many moments where they were so close to capping the zone, but at the same time, Yushi's just like, nah, we're holding.
Nah, yeah, a lot of pain out, also so much pain output there. TCS tried to play a little bit of a zones game. They're trying to put everything into the zone, but that's what takes a little bit more time to get paint across. And Kraken was just trying to do their best. A lot of credit to TCS trying to at least hold themselves, but Yushi just rebounded and played that one phenomenally there. So I gotta give a lot of credit to Yushi though, at least getting themselves back on track after 3-0 game round 1 sweep.
Yeah, definitely think Yushi's definitely gonna come back swinging for this. TZS having a little bit of trouble in some of their sets, but it seems like I feel like they could potentially I feel like they could potentially have some sort of comeback here, but I think since we are waiting on one of the other sets, it is 1-1 right now, so it's going to be a tiny bit before that ends. So I think for now we're going to be heading to a very quick break, but when we get back, we'll be back with round 3 of Swiss, and then that goes into brackets. So definitely stay tuned. We'll be back in just a bit.
this, like that, like this, like that, like this, like that. Take it easy.
Just feels good.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Proving Grounds November Invitational here on IPL. Round 3 is upon us. Another best of 5 set ready to go. I'm still Kyon. J King is still here with me. Honkai versus TZS is our matchup that we'll have in store for you today. J King pretty much a tail. What we got from round 1 with Honkai 3-0, very dominant fashion. TZS gained 0-3, basically ran out of the round overall. So I think there's a lot that both teams will have to look forward to in round 3.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot that's kind of going into this game. I feel like it's going to be interesting, especially seeing how TZS will adapt. Honkai, I will say, likes to play pretty aggressive with their comps, as we saw in like some of their other games, like we did on Mincemeat and like Hagglefish as well. So I feel like they're definitely going to have a little bit more advantage in the aggression factor, because they have a lot of weapons that like to play forward a lot. So I feel like we're going to see that. Yeah. But at the same time, TZS could potentially find some sort of way to adapt, especially going back to the Splat Zones Mahi Mahi.
Yeah, definitely. Since and TZS is gonna be fresh off of Mahi Mahi zone, so this is gonna be intriguing to see what how Honkai pretty much goes at it. Which, by the way, on the other side, on the round 2 map, which by the way went SQUIDWARDS 3-1 over Honkai, they have yet to play Mahi in that particular map pool. I will talk about something about that round 2 matchup in just a moment here, JK. But we gotta move on to Mahi Mahi zones. And yeah, we saw Honkai from earlier. They're gonna be in the alpha side, Bravo side's TZS. You take a look at the weapons. They shouldn't be entirely too surprising. Well, minus the Wiper that makes its appearance, and the Nautilus with the triple splashdown. Okay, then.
I was about to say Honkai changed up their comp completely. Like, this is not what we expected. Like, they were typically running things like dualies, and like it was like dualies and shot typically, and like pro. But they changed it up. Now they're going a very interesting comp here.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, maybe it's from set 2, or it's probably TZS. Either one of the other. Both teams, by the way, getting a brawl over the zone here, and it is just going to be Honkai getting some full search in the zone. Kraken going down should secure the lead change here, and yeah, that's kind of intriguing there. We saw from Honkai round 1, they would stick to the same comp as the Dualies and the pros with a double crab. In this group, actually, there is going to be no crab on site. They're just going to be playing. They're going to be playing a comp that doesn't feature it.
Can I just say that Zuka shot there from Nilla? What was that? Like, Kraken just jumped down from spawn, immediately gets shot out. Like, what was that? But right now we see Honkai once again just putting TZS on the back burner right now. They have to try and be careful. Kraken gonna try and pop the whale. Could potentially find something here. DRF and Kraken trying to fight just one person, but it seems like they are able to get out. One goes down on the side of one goes down on the side of TZS. 2 going down. Honkai able to just control this so well as the Viper is the only one that goes down at this point. They're just holding TZS out. The Nautilus not going to get taken down by Sport. At this point, TZS has to go. They have to try and do something. They could potentially got the point. The splashdown is going to come in. DRF trying to get one, but no, it's going to be that. And I think that is going to go ahead and just claim it for Honkai. What?
All right, one silly Zuka shot after the other, and TZS just can't make their way back to the zone. And a very different sort of TZS. TZS was it a brawl with Yushi? Honkai was just like, no, we actually have the idea here, and that's gonna be the 1-0. That's gonna be the 1-0 lead here so far in this round 3 matchup. J King, to say the least, TZS was playing catch up for a good chunk of it, and then also the staggers were happening as well.
I feel like that was the problem with TZS there. They were staggering way too hard. Like they were like, I think there was one moment, like right here, Smork dropping down so quickly, Kraken over on the right side, but the Knot just holding DRF down at this point. Like they were staggering way too much, and it didn't really give them any sort of way to just get back in. And I feel like that was the problem. I feel like we noticed that with the previous TZS games, is that they staggered way too much. They really have to try and be careful and take something slower. Like, even though it does suck, having such, being down so much when it comes to a lead, at the same time, being able to take that time and get a very, very good retake, it can make a difference here.
And something that's easiest needs to slow down here is just the amount of staggering that was happening here in Mahi, because you know there too, one by one you'd see the members just slowly going down, which is just preventing all the players up that they needed to return back to Mahi. So that's gonna be 1-0 advantage for Honkai. Mako Mart Zones is coming up. You know it, you love it. It's Mako Zones. There's nothing really much to know here. J-King, before we move on, I want to talk about this round 2 set that Squidwards and Honkai had, because I'm kind of laughing right now. It's Hammerhead Zones for round 1, then 2 was Lemuria, 3 was Ramen, and 4 is Mincemeat. If you want to curse zones map combinations in your day-to-day lives, that was certainly one of them. So Honkai was not missing a beat. Now that we had to shift them back from silly maps to something that is more of a staple in Mako Zones, we take a look at the weapons here, and the Nautilus makes its appearance.
Yeah, but this is the thing. That's the V Nautilus. It's not the Splashdown one. So they have Rain coming in here, which I think is going to be interesting, because I feel like the Splashdown can really work here. But at the same time, the Rain can be very good for chip damage, and I feel like a lot of people don't really use it a whole lot. But the Rain heals you when you're in it, so like it increases your like healing speed. So if you're able to really fight under that, especially getting enemies in it, like it's going to be a really, really good spot.
And right now, now that TZS has to deal with that rainstorm, that's going to be the big thing here. Other TZS not only just making minor changes to their playstyle. Excuse me. How on earth do they have to deal with Honkai here? To at least get points, at least get a map win on the board for them. Honkai is actually being able to hold the line successfully. Smork going down is gonna be some of their painting going down. So does DRF. And it's only gonna be 2 members up. The Kraken and Vapor to make that only just Kraken alive. Kraken does get the surprise jump on them, but they're gonna need a little bit more power here, as the TZS is gonna go 2 down once more. And then there is the return fire from Honkai, but J-King, there's an Ultra Stamp, and that's all it's gonna be from Honkai.
Yeah, at this point, Triggerfish has to try and do something here. It is a 2v2 situation. Kraken going to be able to get the flank there. They could potentially have it. They have to try and get this Nautilus out of here, and that is going to be a wipeout. And TZS going to be able to prolong the game a little bit more. Vapor and Smork currently holding up their left stack, as Smork going to be kind of pushing over onto the right stack here. They have to try and take it, because if they do not, because if they just let Honkai get back in, it's going to be a very bad time. The Zuka coming out. Smork not going to be able to escape. Woomy going to be able to pop the hammer. Going to be able to, I believe, find one. The hammer throw coming out, not going to be able to find anybody, as we do see the Junior trying to find a pick over onto DRF. DRF does go down, and it's going to be a 3v4, or it's going to be a 1v4 situation over for TZS at this point.
I feel like I've seen the Ultra Stamp just everywhere right now, J-King, and that Ultra Stamp is just delivering a lot of value out of the there is. As you do get to see, Nilla is going to go down to Kraken once more. 1 member down on both sides once again, and TZS is still trying to play a little bit of catch up there. It's going to be the Wiper and the Brush both going down on that side. There's a nice little pick from the other side. Knowledge strikes again. They're gonna be out the penalty points here. They actually maybe look for another KO on the board if TZS doesn't quite have the counterattack. And Honkai is doing a great job so far. Rumi with that Wiper trying to see if they can get a few more picks. 2 members going down should just do it. Maybe I take that back. TZS heard me. It's like, no, forget that idea. Honkai will have to climb out of 60 more points, and TZS pretty much at their last breath stays alive for just a little bit longer.
I'm sorry, that Kraken being able to get so aggressive, they're really trying to cap, and especially that whale coming in. I feel like because they were fighting on the zone, that whale getting a pick was crucial, because it really painted a decent amount of the point, so it allows them to try and push in there. We do see Woomy. All the specials over on Honkai are getting popped right now. Nilla gonna be using that Zuka, could potentially find one. Woomy gonna be able to get one over onto the stack there, as they could potentially get another pick here, but no, Honkai I think is just gonna try and neutralize at this point, just try and get the zone back into their advantage. So at this point, Kraken is just playing so many good flank angles at this point. They just have to be so careful, as 2 go down on the side of Honkai, with Triggerfish gonna be able to get some sort of advantage here.
Yeah, now TZS, the Kraken is unlocked just a little bit more there. Now they're finding some of those angles that they're having to adapt it against. The Nautilus, in fact, taking off Woomy from earlier as well. and now members are going to be slowly respawning. This is a good time for TZS to get themselves holding the line here just a little bit longer, but unfortunately going 2 members down is not going to help their cause. It's another wipeout of Honkai doing their part to get themselves into certain control of the board. Wooby's able to take out Kraken on the other side of the map, and now everybody's just kind of planted over here from Honkai. TZS now stuck at base. Honkai doing a masterful job, to say the least, trying to make sure that TZS has no entryways in. They do lose 2 members of their own though from the other side of the map, and maybe we could see another zones change, which I think should be the case. It will be with about less than a minute to go here. J King, TZS still alive. Honkai though, firmly in the driver's seat. They just need to have a few more holds.
TZS really has to try and get some sort of hold in this point. I'm saying it now, the reason Honkai is being able to take these holds to their advantage is that they are just getting so aggressive on their lockout phase. They're just trying to get into a lot of good angles, and I feel like that's really what TZS needs to do when they're on that lockout phase. But we do see Honkai going to be able to get 3 down, as it is going to go to the advantage of them. DRF going to unfortunately get taken out here. The hammer over from Woomy could potentially find a random throw. No, it just runs out. I think they were waiting for it to come up. There's 2 are down on the side of Honkai. Honkai has to be careful, as Woomy is going to actually get taken out midway with that wiper, and TZS going to be able to get the zone back into their advantage, but they have to be careful as they are currently in a 3v3 situation with them respawning. The cooler is going to come out at this point from Honkai. The splashdown is ready, but no, they're not going to be able to use it, and I think with that, Honkai going to be able to take that game once again.
So the thing with Honkai that everybody has to be mindful for is the Splatoon were in great positioning. Woomy was unlocked with the wiper and the Ultra Slam. At that point, when you're already down to 1 point remain there, all you gotta effectively do is hold the line. You've already won a good chunk of your fights there if you are Honkai. And TZS, with the way that their skirmish style, while helping to support Kraken, but also try to throw a little bit of chaos around the board, was getting shut down across the board. It almost felt like it was a slow march to the finish line here, as we do get to see the last moments of this game play out. And yeah, TZS, they did take out 2, but they already lost Smork, who was their bubble user. They also lost Kraken, who was their main who's their main skirmisher, excuse me. And Honkai was able to contain them very well. Another delayed wipe to do it. And now TZS is going to be 2 thrown. They're going to have to go off the table reverse sweep. They're going to start the reverse sweep in mincemeat zones, to say the least here, J King. And we've seen mincemeat zones from round 1 earlier when Honkai and Yushi were playing off. So a little bit of an interesting battle up ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how this one's actually going to go at this point. We saw how mincemeat worked earlier for Honkai. They really know how to take advantage of a lot of the ledges, especially if Woomy's going to run dualies. But I feel like with the way that they're playing, they could potentially run pretty much the comp that they've been doing, because I feel like that's the thing with Honkai, is that they've just been able to run just whatever, and it works. And it does seem like, what in the world? Double-headed? Excuse me?
Wait. Oh, okay.
Double-headed.
It's both varieties, J King. Every edit enthusiast is very happy to see that. Hey,
Oops,
Crafting
all
is making
edits.
nervous. Oops, all... No, okay, if Honkai did do 4 edits, I would laugh, but no, I'm just dreaming here. By the way, this is a heavy edit with the crabs. The crab is back after a small little bit of a break there, but TZS will get control of the zone first. And hey, I know we got a lot of I know there are heavy edit fans out here. I'm sure there'll be a feast in here tonight.
Yeah, I feel like headed fans are gonna be popping off. I'm just waiting to see it. But Honkai, surprisingly, is actually able to get into a lot of aggressive angles, really trying to take advantage here. The crab headed gonna be playing a DRF, getting absolutely melted there by that fully charged shot, as it does seem like Honkai could potentially get another Smork getting taken down once again. The crab coming out, they could potentially find favor getting taken out, but no, DRF is gonna be able to take them out right before they could just get some sort of streak.
Yeah, TZS looking for a great start, and then it's all neutralized thanks to the way Honkai is setting up their heavy edits in great position. Yes, you lose 2. It's now up to the heavy edit combo here to hold the line. They're actually doing a great job of doing so. Taro's also down on both sides. Now all heavy edits, and basically everybody from Honkai's gone down. TZS hold the line successfully there. I was gonna note here though, J King, the way TZS you usually get to see them play, you have the DRF who's holding the line with the Tri-Slosher, then you have Kraken who's trying to skirmish, and everybody else is trying to hold the line elsewhere. The minute you eliminate two of the aggressive players, Honkai should feel pretty safe, especially with the fact that Honkai's dishing out 2 heavy edits there on top of it. So, hey, TZS at least is getting back control of the map for some determined time. Honkai does wrestle it back though, and they will be taking control of the zone, at least for this current set.
Yeah, it does seem like TZS trying to get something here. Ooh, Woomy getting pretty aggressive with the Splatana. Going to be able to get a bit of a pick over onto Kraken there. The hammer is going to come out. They could potentially find one. Ooh, the bomb going to get deleted, and Vapor does not go down to the hammer, but is going to go down, unfortunately. Woomy just getting so aggressive. Could potentially find a pick over onto the Junior here, but no, it seems like they could potentially live. The Explo going to come in and immediately get them out. This could potentially be a bit of a push for TZS.
A lot of credit to TZS at least being able to keep themselves alive by punishing what Honkai was trying to play in terms of pure aggression. The problem is that in step 2, Honkai has done a great job pulling the zone for as long as they did, as we did get to see the quick wipe out there. Zuga's being fired and Crab's just being there. And look at the range that this just kind of outputs there with their specials. It's just already tough enough for TZS to find any entry points. They're having to rely on Kraken to find avenues to work around with Honkai's lineup there. Maybe catch one of the heavy edits by surprise, unless the torpedo kind of catches sight of them. Now trying to maneuver around against heavy edits, and they are going to at least trade, but members are going to be traded left and right, and TZS is only just DRF alive. And Honkai may be able to hold this one off, maybe looking for the KO.
Yeah, I feel like at this point they are good. They could potentially get the KO. They really have to do something here. DRF going to be able to pick over Nanilla, but unfortunately it does go down. One going down. No, they're actually able to get the zone. They're able to keep it going. That was Smorg playing the bubble so well, just getting onto a bit of. I think the thing was Honkai got so aggressive that they just didn't notice them going onto the flank there. So at that point, Triggerfish was able to at least try and neutralize the zone and get something going here.
But here's the thing, TZS now needs to execute step 2, which is actually holding firm to the zone for us, holding firm to the zone. Honkai will take the swap there. They'll have to buy themselves a little bit more time. There's 3 members down, and even though the Clore is going to be up there, Honkai understands the assignment at this stage, just trying to hold the zone for all their might. It's going to be 2 down on both sides, but now where's the pain output going to happen? Apparently TZS is still holding on for whatever last breath they can. The question is to sustain. Taro is going to go down. They need to take out Woomy, but Woomy slices through Vapor just like that. And Woomy is not able to find DRF. They do finally get the trade. This buys enough time for Honkai to make the jump happen. And Honkai gets the zone back here. TZS is just slowly keeping themselves alive. Honkai might be looking to break through here soon.
Yeah, Honkai at this point trying to go for that knockout, but TZS really trying to fight back as much as they can. The Crab is going to come out over on the side of Honkai. If we do actually see one go down from Honkai, they could potentially get something here. Triggerfish, no, Kraken going to be able to get taken down. No, they're trying to get something. Splash are going to be coming in. Triggerfish going to be able to neutralize his own, but no, that's going to be another wipeout on the side of Honkai, with them holding it just a little bit more. At this point, Triggerfish, because of that wipeout, they are going to have such a hard time trying to get anything here.
But you're literally just witnessing a slow march to the finish line here from Honkai. TZS is doing all they can to just move themselves forward. The last 3, they're the wipeout that should effectively seal it. The last 2 minutes were effectively Honkai's control. TZS was just throwing all their specials with whatever they had left in the tank, and they just didn't have enough left to execute step 2, which was holding the zone for a prolonged period of time. Honkai completes a 3-0 sweep there, rebounding. They will get a 2-1 group stage record in the books, and that will be TZS. They did finish 0-3, but remember, everybody makes it to bracket stages here, so just TZS. Maybe TZS will get themselves figured out here in bracket stages, but Honkai will be happy with the 3-0 finish.
Yeah, I was about to say, every single game on stream so far has been a 3-0 or an 0-3 in some sort of way, so I think that's kind of crazy, but very, very well played from Honkai. They really came out swinging in this game, especially. Like, they were able to just hold the control. I'm sorry, but the double-headed comp also caught me so off guard, but I love to see it. That was an insanely fun comp to watch.
I mean, honestly, you just swap out one Splatling and just decide to throw the heavy edit there in mincemeat and then just call it a day. Also, it also kind of, if you play it correctly, it's just Kraken and DRF would not be able to rush you forward and then just catch them by surprise. So TZS was once again trying to crawl back there. Honkai, the last 2 matches were effectively just slow marches to the finish line there in the last 2 minutes. So hey, J King, TZS will finish this one. Will finish group stages 0-3 record. They'll enter in the 4th seed in the bracket. They'll play whoever finishes first. There. Other set is going to be what is currently still in progress there, so this should effectively, if I do the math correctly, should determine either if we have a three-way 2-1 win-loss, or everything's kind of just set in stone for which seeds happen.
Yeah, I'm not fully sure what exactly is going to happen, especially because of how early the game is going on. I know right now, I think it is Squidward that is actually, SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land that is up 2-0 right now in the set. So Yushi is in a little bit of a pickle at this point, but I definitely feel like it's going to be pretty interesting going in if we will actually see a 2-1 record like tie, but SQUIDWARDS is kind of an advantage here.
So personally, I like seeing 3-2-1 group stage records just to see how the tiebreakers just all play out here. But I know but I know the most ideal result would be just the 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, and 0-3 if you want to have some sanity altogether. So, but J King, we actually had some pretty intriguing group stage stuff here. I know we saw some funny maps to say the least there. Founder and Mincemeat were the highlights so far. But I'm gonna be intrigued to see how the other set kind of plays out. Again, the other set is being played out here in map number 3 with actually map number 2 right now is looking to be Hammerhead Zones. Yeah, one team did put Hammerhead Zones, by the way, in their map pool, so take that as you will.
Yeah, Hammerhead Zones, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, Hammerhead Zones, it's okay. I just think the problem with Hammerhead is that it's just an insanely long map, so, like, if you get taken out, you have such a long way to go that you're just like, it just feels like you're running a mile at that point.
Yeah, I feel like people will want to leave Hammerhead in the dust. I'm pretty sure. But to be fair, so I did had to. There was a tournament I recently did, or actually a league match I recently did, J King, and I think the map in question for I think Hammerhead was playing. No, I'm confused. I think it might have been a while ago where I had to cast a Hammerhead map. But I'm like, I think I remember why I don't have fond memories of that map more. I played it in Anarchy myself.
Yeah, it's up in the air for me. I'll play it if like zones maybe in the rotation because like it's not that bad, but I'm also just sitting here like, Blit, this is not preferable.
I think there were a handful of times here in the previous year for another league was a Hammerhead Turf was something I did. So yeah, no, there was a place out there that was Hammerhead Turf. Yes, you are seeing it, by the way, everybody. So we did wrap up the 3-0 sweep there in Honkai TCS. We can add a little bit of bonus coverage for you guys here. Yushi and SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land, if we're able to get the set underway here, will be SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land first appearance per se here on stream, so we get to say hello to them. Yushi is on the is going to be on the other side, of course. The scoreboard, I believe, as it stands right now, is going to be a 2-0 lead here for SQUIDWARDS over Yushi. So Yushi also has to pull out the field reverse sweep. That's where we hop into this set in progress here, J King.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what exactly Yushi is going to be doing going into this one, because if we are going to be able to get into the game, it's going to be an interesting one because it is going to Hammerhead. So we're definitely going to see why this map is so interesting, to say the least.
Every person out there is just going to be asking themselves, what on earth did we deserve to be Hammerhead? The answer is one team just likes Hammerhead Zones more than the other. I think that's really the only conclusion we can draw in this one, which basically means there isn't really much to draw from the conclusion. But then all that being said and done, so so far we're hoping to see what we know for the first two maps that were played, but they were effectively SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land's map victories here. So that's where we hop in. So eventually, if we are able to hop into this set midway, we'll get to see Hammerhead Zones in full effect, and I'm sure people will love to see Hammerhead Zones some way, one way or the other. J King.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, as much as the map could be an interesting one, I do actually kind of want to see it play in tournament, because I have not yet, actually, so I don't know, like, what exactly we're going to be seeing. I think I maybe only saw it once, and I think that was at, if I remember correctly, I think that was when I was watching the Big Dapple stream that happened a little while ago, so that's what I remember, at least. I swear I thought I saw a Hammerhead game in there.
The one I've done in another place somewhere was Hammerhead Turf War. It was the Hammerhead. So for the other place we had, they had to ensure that every map gets on the board, even if you know the map generally isn't great. But we had to find one least offensive mode, and this was a league where they allowed Turf War to be put in the map pool for the play all 5 setup. And they're like, Hammerhead rank modes aren't great. We're just relegating it to turf duty. That's the only thing Hammerhead was useful for the last time I had to call this. So, Hopefully Hammerhead Zones. I'm gonna be excited to see how both teams get to approach. I'm sure not many people I'm sure either people would love to see Hammerhead Zones, or some people are like, can we please not deal with this anymore? I don't want to see it in my face. I know
They
some
just immediately
Right.
sees the map, leaves the game.
Control. I was about to say Control Delete, or just Home button leave.
Home XA.
Home XA. Yep, exactly.
Hit Home XA, and then that technically Control Alt Delete or Alt F4 at that point.
Alt. That is the other shortcut for leaving. I don't know why I was thinking Control Alt Delete. That was literally just restart. No, Alt F4 is actually correct. That took me a second. Like, wait a minute. That didn't sound right to me. Thank you for keeping me honest on that one.
Yeah, of course.
But hopefully we get all the stuff ironed out here. Again, this is the last set in group stages for those just tuning in. We're just trying to see if this map is in progress, or if they're okay just waiting on us to be able to hop in on this one. So, hey Jay, so yeah, JK, how has your day been?
It's been all right, actually. Granted, I didn't expect. It was definitely it caught me a little off guard when I'm just like, oops. When I'm just like, oh, I gotta commentate. Okay. But I definitely have been. It definitely has been very exciting, despite how quick the games have been. I just think it's crazy that like every single game has basically been a 3-0. But I think I'm definitely very excited to see what we're gonna have coming into this. But how's your day been, Kyun? Regardless.
I had you know what. So the day started off with me hitting up the breakfast place before today's proving grounds. So the breakfast in question now. I will go on the record that I always like waffles over everything. And I was in a very pancake mood, to say the least. I also don't like French toast, but I've been burned by bad French toast in the past here, JK.
Oh no!
No, I've had some very rough French toast. So I'm just gonna avoid French toast for all across the board. I'm not a huge French toast fan. I also had a couple of coffees too this morning, so that is helping me a lot. So you know what? The day starts off with a good breakfast, and that's all I could ask for this morning. Also seeing the sets play out here too. Love to see another edition of Proving Grounds. So that's how my day is at least going here, JK. And we do have word that we are in the room, just waiting on a few things. So we will get you the set in progress here in just a bit. But that's been my day so far, JK.
Nice.
This weekend was also the U.S. Thanksgiving too, for folks who are here in the U.S. as well. Hopefully everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend. If you celebrated U.S. Thanksgiving, how was yours?
Right, it was all right, to say the least. Kind of spent the day with my family. Got back a little bit later, and I was just kind of like exhausted at that point. I'm just like, okay, I need to chill. So
Okay.
That's kind of how mine went. So this entire weekend has just been the definition of, all right, I'm doing nothing.
So we're gonna go on the record here. I was about to ask if you actually had U.S. turkey for your Thanksgiving meal. I guess both players did not want to entertain the idea of somebody being asked if they had turkey, because they didn't fall asleep in the middle through. Hey, Hammerhead Zones here, by the way. Get you guys all set up here. Squidward's gonna be on the Alpha side. Yushi's on the Bravo side. Sorella Tenebrella is making its appearance, and I am trying to figure out what Squidward's been dishing out here. Other than that Sorella Umbrella with the inkjet, that's exactly what it was.
We have the Sorella Umbrella, and we actually have the Octobrush, which does have the Zipcatcher, so we have not seen that. I'm very curious how this is going to go here.
Yeah, so Hammerhead Zones this can get lockout heavy in a flash here, because you have the one zone map, and there's such easy ways to get up to the ramp. So it's gonna be intriguing to see who gets the advantage and who will be the one to try to punish the other team once they get that advantage here too. But we're kind of stuck into this neutral state right now. Squidward is gonna be hopping into this one. They should be able to lead here shortly. Especially the Inkjet is just throwing out a lot of pressure right now. Yes, there is the lead, and it will be a little bit more counting down. Heavy Spotling Deco's going to go down on top of it, and it's still kind of stuck in this neutral state for maybe a few more seconds, but it should be Squidward's chance to secure it, and it's also going to be 3 down for Yushi's end. That Zuka is stuck between a rock and a hard place, and is going to be taken out by the Octobrush, and this will be Squidward's taking it home past 60 points remaining.
Yeah, Squidward's gonna pretty much just take it half there. So I feel like they're gonna have a lot of advantage going in here, especially with how aggressive they're playing. Yushi trying to get something going, but with the way their comp works, it's definitely a little bit difficult. As we do see the Heavy, unfortunately, gonna lose that Kraken, but they do have double Zuka up right now over on the side of Yushi. So They could potentially find something, but no, Gold is gonna get taken out immediately as the 10 tries to find a pick with the Zuka, but I feel like at this point, Squidward's just has it on lock.
Yes, Squidwards might have it on lock, but they did lose 2. They may actually lose. They had lost the ability to hold the line. As yeah, with 2 members going down, everybody collapses onto it, and now Yushi, understanding the assignment of Hammerhead zones, now going to be the one to move up to the ramp and push themselves forward. Zuka being fired on the right side. Now the importance here, if you're Yushi, is to stay alive. They did lose a shot from earlier, but the shot should be in position to jump right back in. But they are losing the heavy spotling deck with the process, and they're going to have to retreat just a tiny bit to get everybody back into the forefront of things. Trip Trash being used to neutralize control zone, excuse me. And the zone's going back to Squidwards. Just like that, they're halfway through, but usually buy themselves a little bit more time.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2v2 situation, but at the same time, Squidwards does have the cooler, so they're going to be coming back pretty fast compared to Yushi. So Yushi going to have to be a little bit on the back foot here as, hey, going to be able to get a pick. The Junior could potentially find something here with the bubble. No, the Brella's that, or the Octopus is actually going to get taken out. The Junior's just going to be able to take out the Brella, but at the same time, Hayes just right there, immediately able to follow it up and just... Once the Junior gets a little too aggressive, trying to get a little greedy, all you have to do is just throw a bomb and they're immediately down.
Yep. And now Squidward's being the one still holding firm, but see, they're not able to move up just yet. With the power of the Zuka, which I think the Zuka also got a second member just a bit off screen, it is going to give Yushi a chance to move just a little bit forward right now. But they aren't able to secure the zone quite yet. There is going to be 2 down on Squidward's end, so Yushi will be able to get the zone when that officially happens here. And they're down to a little bit more out of the penalty points. They just got to get themselves out of it next.
Yeah, we do see Yushi is able to hold pretty well here, but they have to be careful with this Octopus. They do have the Zipcaster. Pretty sure it's going to be popped in just a second. It is going to come out as they had to be careful. The Heavy going to be getting caught out a little bit. The Zipcaster is just getting so aggressive, really trying to say, hey, get back here. You ain't escaping me, but ultimately Yushi, they aren't able to escape, so I feel like that is going to play pretty well into their advantage. Sheldon, getting picked out over onto that side there as Mox going to be playing that brush pretty well at this point, so the Kraken is going to come up from here. Are they going to be able to find Jay there? No, they are not. Hey, currently is stuck up onto top mid right now, but the Kraken is going to get back, but with the way that they're playing, they could potentially get it pretty easy taken out here.
Yeah, so both teams are kind of stuck into the slight neutral state here. Yushi, however, is losing members in staggered fashion, and this auto brush is just delivering a lot of value there. Piro's going to go down on top of it. Squidward's Tiki Land is now having some good control now back in Hammerhead. They aren't able to move further up just as a unit quite. I think they're just playing this one very, very correctly here. Just trying to make sure. All right, everybody retreat back to the zone. Just defend it for the last few points left on the board, and that's what they're gonna do. And we're gonna see that we're gonna see in the ending style the Octobrush just falling a little bit off and then being saved by the Zipcast recall. 3-0 is the score line here for Squidward Tiki Land. They get the sweep over to Yushi here in our bonus coverage.
I was about to say, brush, you didn't have to stall on him like that right at the end. Come on, man. But regardless, yeah, Squidward's taking that pretty commandingly, but at the same time, Yushi did have a lot of good plays there. They really had a lot of good moments of holding them off, but Squidward's ultimately was just able to take that pretty handily. I feel like this brush was, in my opinion, one of their most crucial players in this match because they were just able to get into so many aggressive off angles, just really find a lot of flanks especially, and pretty much just set the team up for success. Like, as you can see here on the replay, even though they don't get the pick, they do pull the Junior, and the Junior just doesn't know where they went as they immediately pop the Zipcaster, ultimately leading to the victory.
Yeah, leads to Squidward Tiki Land, the 3-0 victory. Of course, the Octobrush will get the style points at the end there. So, but that's all it's gonna be for us. And by the way, that is the conclusion of group stages. Which, by the way, J King, that's the conclusion for us. Final stages are gonna be coming up here. You got a set of amazing commentators coming up here in just a few moments. But real quickly, J King, where can the people find you?
So I don't really use Twitter much anymore. So if you want to find me on Blue Sky, it's JKingCast, like my Twitter handle, or JKingTheVA if you want to see more of my VA stuff. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, you guys can find me usual Blue Sky, Keon2570. Same with Twitch. Back to variety streaming once again. So you will find me anywhere you go. Smash that follow button wherever you guys can. Of course, huge shouts to Sam here on production, just leading the way through. But again, finals bracket stage is coming up here. All 4 teams got their seeds decided. They're just now ready to jam here. 2 amazing commentators will take you home the rest of the way, with Nox and Rissa taking you home. This is J King and I saying have a good rest of your day. More final stages action coming right up.
Have a good one, everybody.
We are back here on IPL Splatoon for the Proving Grounds November Invitational. My name is Rissa, and I'm joined here with Nox. We had a little commentator switch up, and we are going to be your commentators through finals here as we see what happens with these 4 teams that we've been watching. Nox, how you doing today? You got your second cup of coffee, right?
Absolutely. I am in my second to last semester of finishing up a master's degree, so I'm doing great right now. This is what good feels like. It's nice to have an excuse to take a break, is my stance.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Rissa?
I'm doing good as well. You know, 4-day weekend thanks to Thanksgiving over here in the US.
Yeah. I am up in Canada right now, so I did forget a little bit.
Yeah, I remembered. I was like, wait, Nox is in Canada. Plus,
Yes.
I'm sure there's viewers all over,
Yeah.
not just in the US.
What did you have good food for Thanksgiving? I know you're also vegetarian, so I know that's always an adventure.
Yes, I actually got to have tofurkey.
Nice.
So shout out to the parents for making me some tofurkey.
Absolutely. And we are going to be getting into it here at SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land versus Triggerfish Zones Supremacy. Should be an interesting set, always is when Triggerfish Zones Supremacy is playing. Pretty interesting comps coming out of both sides here.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, if you think about it, on Triggerfish, they have those 3 sloshers. So I think that's actually a really deadly combination here on this map and mode. On the other side, we got that Octobrush. There's a Wiper. I haven't seen Wipers in comp too much as of recently, so that'll be fun to see as well.
Hammer already coming out, causing some chaos. 2 players down for Triggerfish Zones. This should be a pretty solid opening hold coming out of SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land. Pencil already set up in mid, taking out Vapor, getting rid of that Expo, getting rid of the stability for Triggerfish Zones Supremacy.
Yeah, right now, you know, I mean, Triggerfish, they're kind of scrambling back there. You can see they're trying to figure out what they need to do to get back in. I like, too, that SQUIDWARDS isn't pushed up too far. They're just kind of saying, hey, you know what, we're guarding all these angles here. We got a Pencil watching the zone. We got Cooler ready. We have counter specials ready as well. So they're knowing, hey, we don't need to push up too far. The other team's not being too aggressive, so we just kind of can play this safe.
Yeah, and they're doing an excellent job at that, but 2 of them have gone down. They're still getting a few more points on the board, but Vapor coming in with that Explo, shutting that down. And now we're going to see Triggerfish Zone Supremacy really wanting to get that forward momentum, wanting to push SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land out of their own space, and seems like they're going to be able to.
Yeah, this is exactly, when I was looking at this, I saw 3 buckets on the map for Triggerfish Zones. This is exactly, once they were able to push forward, get those 2 initial picks, those sloshers were able to just come up over the walls and take down the rest of the members of SQUIDWARDS. So you can see now they're able to push up. And now this time they're the team that is pushed up and guarding the zone. They're pushing up a little bit further than SQUIDWARDS was, but they're not pushing in too far. You can see they know that they just need to get the lead at least, so they're kind of waiting around for that first.
Yeah, no reason to take unnecessary risk. We are seeing the Wiper try and find an off angle to enter from. Gonna have to rotate a bit more, but the Hammer coming out. Buckets don't have a great answer to Hammer. This is a good comp to have them against, to be fair. But the Brush able to clean them up. Zone does flip back to SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land, but they did lose lead in that process. Kraken Mare here having to back up. And the zone is just kind of being skirmished over right now, which if you're Triggerfish, that's working out in your favor at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see, too, as we've been watching Kraken's point of view, Kraken is knowing, hey, I'm just going to make sure I'm guarding this right flank area, not pushing too far and go down. Just the way Kraken plays Brush, too, is so obnoxious with the way he's throw bombs out and just keep, like, spamming the brush in your face and then throwing a bomb. So you can see perfectly that's exactly what he's doing, is he's guarding the zone with his teammates.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the name of the game. Guard the zone, keep the zone. That's what matters most. We are seeing a jump out there, a great opportunity for SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land to regroup and work on getting back in, but it's not going to be enough. It seems like the slosher from Triggerfish Zones was able to sneak in and get a pick. And now we're seeing Vapor moving really far forward with this Explo, able to be a very aggressive backline. And that's even more members down for SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land. They do have some specials online, but they can't keep enough members up to actually get in.
Yeah, this has taken quite the turn here. You can see that now, in turn, Triggerfish isn't pushing in too far. The lead, well, they already have the lead, but the KO is just in their grasp because they're just trying to make sure that they guard this. Members finally from SQUIDWARDS pushing, and they just need to make sure that they cap. There goes the Hammer. The Hammer gets 2 picks. and helps cap the zone at that. Really good play there coming out from this Wiper.
Yeah, really. This Wiper has had really good hammer choices throughout this game so far, so I'm excited to see them on it throughout the set. We're seeing them really pushing forward now, making Kraken have to take a weird drop. Though, of course, it's a brush. They don't mind getting displaced all that much. Already back into the fight there. We're seeing the Octo Brush looking to try and find a way to apply pressure from underneath on that left side and helping keep paint on the zone. Vapor splashdowning the zone, able to try and keep it neutral. And that's the zone flipping back over to Triggerfish Zones. Really not what you're after if you're Squidward's Tiki Land, especially when it's just your pencil left up.
You can see Kiki there eventually got called out as well, finally with Kraken and Mewtwo, it looked like there. They just were like, hey, there's only one member up, let's just rush them, and they did exactly that. When that anchor goes down, though, that means you really got to figure out how you want to reset this. Looks like, though, the pencil came back, Kiki there came back, and their teammates were already pushed up pretty far and able to take down members of Triggerfish, so essentially in that momentum, they were able to kind of take down 3 members of Triggerfish, and now you can see they're trying to push up and utilize that momentum. They only have 15 seconds remaining here, so they have to really make something happen. I don't know if they're going to quite be able to do it, though.
Yeah, those strikes coming out at that time actually might have worked out in their favor, but not if Kraken Mare gets away with that. They're going to have to scramble to get paint on the zone, and they just don't have the weapons to do that. And that is going to be game 1 going to Triggerfish Zones Supremacy. I was trying to say there, it's good that those strikes came out almost a little early even, but Kraken got 2, so that didn't end up mattering very much.
Kraken just kind of went around them instead and was like, you know what? Hi, I'm just going to poke up here behind these.
Exactly. Always nice to have a player on something like an ink brush, or even the Wiper. We saw the Wiper pull off some similar plays of just, what if I go around you? What if I pull off some shenanigans and you don't get to have any say in it, actually?
Yeah, there's the weapons like that. Those are the weapons that kind of just break all of what the competitive rules are in a way. It's like, you're supposed to get your specials, go in, get the zone, push forward, but then there's weapons like this, an ink brush, the Wiper, the Octo Brush, that they just
the Tetra even.
Yeah, they'll just say, you know what, I'm playing my own game over here, so excuse me.
And that's so important to just know, like, it's nice to get to see these more interesting comps coming out. And in general, I'd say comps have been seeing a good bit of diversity recently, which is fantastic and amazing, and I'm always thrilled to see it. Something people are less often thrilled to see, Flounder Height zones.
You know what? I was commentating last weekend too, and this ended up coming up in the map list too, and I was like, wait, I'm so not used to seeing Flounder heights.
I believe I also commentated it last weekend or the weekend before. I think it's back. I think it's again.
I think it is.
Happy to see it personally. I love seeing different maps get used.
I do too. It's always fun as a viewer, whether I'm a commentator or just someone watching a tournament. I always enjoy seeing what competitive players want to do on different maps that we don't get to see a lot. So I enjoy it as well.
It's also a little fun to know the players are a little upset about it usually. Just a little.
Dang it, Flounder!
Oh, again? We're doing Flounder again?
Yeah.
Oh. Just like when we used to see Moray. God, I don't miss that map.
I don't either. I tried to put it in the back of my head where I would never remember it.
Yeah. We are seeing some pretty interesting weapon switches coming out here. Love to see the heavy edit. A little surprised about it. This is a map where I'm more used to seeing pencil, but not upset to see that heavy edit at all. And also, another weapon we don't see very often, Umbrella. When do we ever see Brella?
Never see Brellas played in comp, hardly ever, so that's...
Especially off land.
Yeah, right? Online, playing Umbrella.
Brave.
I'm very interested to see how this goes. I can definitely see the vision, though. I could see how
absolutely.
The potential setup for this could really play off well, as we're seeing right now. They're getting set up on the other side of the map there, but I can see the vision, so we'll see how this ends up playing out here.
And it is probably a pretty solid inkjet map, really good high grounds you can play off of, completely out of range of things like that Explo, which is, you know, never hurts to be out of range of the Explo. They do hit for 90 a lot of the time. Really great opening there. Strong opening from Squidward's Tiki Land. I'm interested in seeing how they try and keep it going, but their edit's been taken out. Might make that a bit more difficult.
Yeah, edit was taken out there. I think they were cooled up though, so luckily they're right back in the action, going to be able to jump into their teammates. Their teammates are doing a great job. Squidward's is doing a great job at holding mid there. Even though the Vapor with that Explo is painting over their zone, trying to make sure that they juggle it for their team, on the flip side, Squidward's here. They're just doing a great job at holding mid, getting jump-ins for their teammates like we're seeing there in mid as well, and they're just continuing to count down these points. This is pretty impressive.
Yeah, this might be a 100-0 hold we see here. It might not see a true flip come out. Trip strikes might come and prove me wrong though. Trip strikes do love to do that. Just the splash and heavy edit left up. They're trying to keep these zones with every fiber of their being, and they're doing an excellent job at it, managing to dodge out of the way of the splashdown. Vapor trying to get this zone painted, but the Greats really interfering with that. Another player going down to a suction bomb. Brella pushing forward with the Octobrush, and that's the zone capped. Just the Ink Brush left up. It seems like that will be a technical 100-0 hold due to the effect of a dual zone map.
Yes, they played that really well. I also
They
like
played
too
that
that
incredibly.
yeah, I like that it seemed like it was the edit and the splash that were staying alive consistently, and that really played out very well for them because even though their other two teammates would go down, the painting power of the edit and the splash was just allowing them to keep holding mid, keep holding the paint. Their teammates would just jump back in, get some picks, die, jump back in, get some picks, die, but the painting power of those two weapons alone allowed them to outpaint the other team throughout that entire match.
Yeah, and I think there's also a lot to be said about how well the Brella and Brush were moving up with each other. They really were, like we can see it right here, they were really doing an excellent job of creating those pinches, taking advantage of the fact that they both have pretty big AoEs that they can hit, and just maintaining that space control. Because usually if I'm thinking of matchups, admittedly, I don't love the idea of a Brella into sloshers, but if you're gonna have the high ground the whole time, I guess it works out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
that
think-
makes sense.
Yeah, I think they probably would have struggled to get back in there. But if you just never get locked out, you don't need to get back in. Very simple on their part. They went, if we just hold the whole time, we don't need to get back in. Easy.
Real. Exactly. I know, and then if you're thinking about, okay, if your bucket's trying to play into an Octobrush and a Brella that has the high ground over you, it's like, that just kind of sounds awful, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like you're almost going to be relying on bomb spam at that point, which you don't really want to do as a bucket. You don't really have enough ink for that usually.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to be going into another classic here. Well, this one's a classic. The last one wasn't. We all know it. It's Inkblot Zones.
Inkblot Zones, the classic. Okay, I'm wondering if these are the same exact maps that were played last week in Sendo Q Finals, because I
Could
swear I
be.
commentated these last weekend.
It always could be. We are seeing one small weapon switch out of Triggerfish Zones. We're going to be seeing the Slosher switch over to that Neo machine. I like that switch. I think Zuka's great. I'm a little surprised that they were willing to give up the strikes for it, but nothing wrong with a Zuka.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Azuka. You know, you can't go wrong with Azuka, absolutely. It's interesting how they're sticking with this triple bucket rush comp. And I don't know why I never really noticed if this is something that Triggerfish has done previously, but I do like that they, you know, play weapons that aren't necessarily what the quote-unquote meta are. Speaking of Zuka as well, we're gonna see Zuka get the Mewtwo get that pick on a Mox, and now Triggerfish here, they're the one. This is kind of a total flip up from that last match we watched. They're the team that is holding the zone and not letting the other team in.
Yeah, and they're doing an excellent job at it. This is a great bucket map. It's really solid for them to play from the low ground on. Lots of space that they can control. But now we are seeing the zone go back over to Squidward's Tiki Land. And it seems like they're even going to have a couple specials online to keep this hold going, which is always fantastic. And the Zipcaster is coming out and going to look to cause some havoc, as the Brella just says you can't come to top bid, actually.
Yeah, Brella says, I don't think so. That was really good usage too. As soon as they had Cooler, they pulled out that Zipcaster. I think they recognized the other team was starting to get one special, two specials, that way they could come back in. So they used that Zipcaster before Triggerfish could even think about really using their specials to get back into the zone. That was really, really good on their part. Man, and
Wow.
Kraken there tries to, you know, do the classic Kraken, go down, bomb, get into the zone, but there's Mox on that Octobrush guarding that. Mox, though, the last member up, they are holding down mid, take down DRF with them as they go down. Now Triggerfish Zones in control of the zone. Let's see how they end up setting up here and guarding the area, the sides of the zone here.
Yeah, definitely should be a strong spot for them to hang out in. And Autobomb does call them out and force them to have to back up, though. Really good use of bombs on Squidward Tiki Land's part to get them out of position. And now we're going to be seeing the Inkjet and the Trip Strikes coming out, trying to get the zone. And just not going to be enough, but they do get the Explo out of there, which should allow them to get the flip. There it is. And we're seeing that flip just be so beneficial for Squidward's Tiki Land. It put penalty onto Triggerfish Zones, and they're holding it for a good bit. A lot of them did go down in the effort, but that suction bomb is going to help out even more.
Yeah, that was a sneaky suction bomb. I definitely would have gone down to that as well.
Me too. But really great holds here out of Squidward's Tiki Land. It took them a while to get in, but now that they're in, it seems to be hard to get them out.
Yeah, too, they're gonna get their specials ready. I'm sure they're kind of waiting for that Zipcaster to be ready too. They've done a good job at utilizing it on this map as well. Vapor there tries to use the splashdown, maybe get some picks there. Is able to. I think Kraken was able to follow up the splashdown.
Seems like it.
Chip damage there and get initial picks there. Throughout all of that, though, the 4 members, a complete wipeout happening here onto Triggerfish Zones. Squidward's Tiki Lands, it seems like, even though if Triggerfish does get the zone flip, Squidward's Tiki Land, it seems like they have this map figured out. They know what specials they need to use when, they know who needs to be in what position. We're consistently seeing that Brella up top, guarding that, so they're doing a good job.
And we're seeing a lot of pressure come out of this Inkjet, even if it's not consistently finding picks, which it is. Either way, it would still be forcing members of Triggerfish to have to reposition constantly, which is such a pain for a decent chunk of their weapons. Not for Kraken, admittedly. Kraken doesn't mind, but the rest of them definitely do. Vapor almost taking out the heavy edit there, but not going to be enough, and that is game 2 going to Squidward's Tiki Land.
Okay, it seems like I meant to highlight too in the beginning of this, Squidward's Tiki Land didn't switch up any weapons from what they played in the last match on Flounder, so I'm wondering if, at first I thought those weapon picks might have been like for Flounder specifically, but now I'm wondering if these weapon picks were actually to be against Triggerfish Zone specifically, because that seemed like it worked out again really well for them.
Definitely seems like it might have. Really impressive gameplay coming out of Squidward's Tiki Land. Really dominant holds once they get set up, with the exception of that first game on Robo Roman. But it seems like they are very comfortable, and we're going to be going to game 4 here, and it should be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, game 4 here, going to be going to Splat Zones on Mako Mart. So if Squidward's Tiki Land wins this, then they will be the team that moves on. Actually, is this okay, I swear I saw Popgun say best of 7, finals best of 7.
It seems like finals is. We are currently in semis.
Oh, okay. Okay, so semis, as the screen says, of course, best of 5 here. So Squidwards, if they win this, they'll win this set. But if Triggerfish wins this next game on Mako Mart, then we would be headed to a game 5. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I always am for a game 5. I'm never one to complain about that.
Right. And
I am one to... Oh, you go.
Oh, I was gonna say, I noticed really quick too, looking at the bracket, on the other side of the bracket in semis, Honkai versus Yushi. Word. It went 3-0, so Honkai won 3-0. Whoever wins this set that we're watching now on the stream will be facing Honkai in the finals.
And that should be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
A map I am... Look, I'm not surprised that we're seeing Inkblot and Mako. They're inescapable. I will continue on my crusade, as I have since Splatoon 3 came out, that maybe we could let Mako retire for like a month. Maybe we could just not look at it for like 1 month as a treat.
As a treat.
As a treat for me, specifically.
You're like, I'm fine with Inkblot, but Mako, mm-mm.
Well, Inkblot, we see more modes on. Mako, we kind of mostly just see zones.
That's true, that is true.
But getting into it here, no major comp switch-ups from either team. We're sticking with Neo Machine on the part of Triggerfish Zones. Really great weapon for buckets yet again, but DRF is their last bucket up that they are getting chased out. And just Kraken Mare left up for Triggerfish Zones. Really strong opening here from Squidward's Tiki Land, getting the first big opening hold.
Yeah, I like that Kraken backed up a little bit, kind of waited for his teammates. You can see he's poking at this left side and just almost maybe trying to bait himself, maybe create an opening for his teammates as they start coming back. You can see Triggerfish Zones has that splashdown, they have that Zuka, they have the cooler ready as well. So starting out with Kraken leading the way, then that Zuka comes out, there's that cooler and that splashdown. All those specials combined is now allowing Triggerfish Zones here to come back get the zone for themselves now and start putting some points on the board. Too, their slosher comp, I could really see that working out well for them on this map in particular. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out.
It should be interesting. It is an exceptionally good map for sloshers of all kinds, but DRF not being caught out alone there, the Splash having to back off, knowing that they can't really fight that ledge. As I say that though, you get proven wrong as it goes. Really great good gameplay from that Splash of waiting for the machine to back up enough for them to be able to get in on DRF alone there. And now we're seeing the the Brella moving forward, able to take out the Zuka. Really great movement there to be able to do that. And now going after Vapor. Are they going to be able to find it? Yes, they are. Really great pick there. Really great picks there from the Brella.
Yeah. I never really thought about, hey, I'm a Brella, you're Zuking, I'm just gonna run up to you, and
Yeah.
this Brella shield is gonna protect me. I don't know why I never thought of the mechanics and the specifics of that, but that definitely worked out okay. But guess what? The Zuka now gets a flip. It said, I'm gonna stay back here where you can't rush me with your Brella shield, gets that pick onto the Brella, and that actually created a really good opening here for Triggerfish Zones to be able to come back into the zone. Vapor here in a really good position with this Explo as well. I haven't got to highlight this Explo plays as much as I would have wanted to in the back of my head. You know, I kind of thought, oh, Explo. But it's a great weapon for zones since we're getting to see Vapor play it here.
Yeah, not a weapon we get to see much of these days, but it has had its times throughout the lifespan of Splatoon. It's definitely a strong weapon. It doesn't have the best kits necessarily, but it does have a ton of paint output, which especially in zones, you cannot complain about. Zuka coming out here not able to quite find anything despite having some people marked, but the zone is still with SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land. They are still looking good here, and they want to just go ahead and get this set finished out. They want to get this game. And if you're Triggerfish Zones, you are looking to disrupt them in any way possible.
Triggerfish Zones right now. I believe that's Kraken. I have a feeling it's probably Kraken. You can see Kiki said this way. I saw that too. Kiki saw it as well. And of course that was Kraken there, you know, trying to flank around on the other side of the map on their ramp and create a flank opportunity for Triggerfish Zones, as they are the team right now that needs to get the zone and get points on the board. But SQUIDWARDS is doing a great job at holding that. It seems like they've noticed, okay, we're going to be seeing consistent flanks coming out from this ink brush. We need to make sure we're watching that. And that's actually working out very well for them.
It is. That level of awareness is so important to have when playing against a Carbon or a Brush or even a Tri-Slosher a lot of the time. And they are doing a great job of just managing Kraken, essentially. When you play against an ink brush, the game is, can we manage to keep this ink brush out of our face? And so far they've been doing a pretty good job. Seems like they need to get Kraken out of their face yet again right now. But they have a bit of time to play with, and they have Tacticooler online. But time is ticking. They need to get back in soon if they want to keep this lead.
Yeah, the zone right now is about to flip. Let's see if these Tri-Strikes help out. SQUIDWARDS!
Just barely.
They do just barely. That was so close. Triggerfish couldn't quite hold on there for just that one more point in order to get the lead. And now with only 20 seconds remaining, SQUIDWARDS right now, they know that they have the zone. They just need to sit here and guard the zone. If you're on the other hand though, in Triggerfish Zones, you need to figure out how you get into the zone. They have specials ready. There goes Vapor using that splashdown. And, gets called out by the Inkjet. Man, it seemed like that splashdown could have definitely helped flip the zone. It seemed like the follow-up with their teammates were able to flip the zone, but with just one member up, you can see right now that SQUIDWARDS is just kind of able to sit back and slowly collapse on the zone here together. Takes the game 4 and is going to take this set against Triggerfish Zones.
Yeah, and that's them going into finals against Honkai, and just really great awareness from SQUIDWARDS at the end of knowing we just need to not overextend. We just need to not go 3 down right now, and we'll be okay. We can lose the zone for a second. We just need to keep player advantage and paint advantage. We'll get it back. And that's such an important thing to be aware of. That overtime timer can make it so scary. But you just need to keep collected most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like, you know, something else I noticed too, like mid watching all of that, is if you look around the zone right now, it is all orange. So SQUIDWARDS Tiki Land is doing a great job at keeping the sides of the map painted, and that's just making it even more difficult for Triggerfish Zones to even have anywhere to swim because they didn't have any paint on the board. With Squidward's Tiki Land having that edit and that splash consistently in their comp, they were able to just keep all of that map control and have all of that room for their teammates to move around in.
Yeah, managing to keep map control, especially on Mako, makes such a big difference because it keeps people from being able to get in easily. There's not a lot of weird, sneaky flank routes on Mako. I personally would argue there's none. It's hard to be sneaky on them if they're painted at all. And Kraken, as much as brushes do love to sneak around, they're not that sneaky if the map's painted. You can see where they've run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like we were getting to see from Kiki's point of view on that edit, you could see there was just a little bit of blue coming around, and then all of a sudden you could see a little movement in the paint, and it was like, oh, okay, there's definitely a flank happening here.
Yeah. Always important to open your map when playing against weapons that want to flank. They have to paint a little usually, and if you can see their paint, you can have a guess at where they are. Knowing how to quickly look at map makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I actually didn't get to watch, I usually like to tend to tune in before I commentate and, you know, watch the teams that I'm going to be commentating, but I didn't get to see Honkai and see what they've been running and anything like that. Were you able to tune in and see any of what their comp has been so far, Nox?
I caught a little bit of it. I didn't catch a lot. One of the games I did see, they were running double heavy edit. I don't think that's their normal, probably, though. It was neat to see. They were running the... Oh, I'm gonna forget the fancy name for the second kit of heavy edit, but crab heavy edit and normal heavy edit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had, yeah, I think it was pretty normal stuff. It wasn't anything wild other than the 2 heavy edits. Nothing that made my brain go, interesting.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's some shooters or some buckets, if I'm not recalling exactly.
You know, huge.
Yes. I am very interested in seeing what they pull out here. I don't necessarily expect to see 2 heavy edits again, but it would be interesting.
That would be interesting. That would... Actually, you know what? I remember walking by, I had it on my TV and I did see those 2 edits and I thought...
It's noticeable.
Yeah.
And it was on a map we don't... It's on one of the maps that we used to never use, and now we use occasionally. And I'm gonna forget the name because it's not directly in front of me, so it stopped existing. Which is incredible on my brain's part. This is what getting your masters does to you. You lose all brain space for things other than the masters sometimes. Oops. But it's the map where during one of the first tournaments we ever saw for Splatoon 3, I think before the game came out, when Nintendo brought in a few teams to play. It was the one where the Rainmaker game went on for approximately 5 million years. You know, everyone remembers this event, surely.
Yeah, that one, you know?
That one. The one where if you play Clamblitz on it, it was bad. So most of them. It has the grates leading up to the basket and then the side path to the right of it.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Can you remember the name?
You know, we'll come back to this because I need to remember it now, okay?
I want to call it Anchovy, but it's not Anchovy. Anchovy doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, we're seeing a pretty normal comp coming out of Honkai here. Squeezer is something Kabi has played for a long time. I say as somebody that used to play on a team with them. Moomy on that Viper, something we're seeing a little bit more of since the patch, but still not super common. And then Splattershot. Looks like a comp from a few months ago, but should still work perfectly fine.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like a comp from a few months ago. Okay. All right, let's see here. So Honkai starting out strong, gets that zone initially, and is able to take down the Octobrush on the side of Squidward's. And they are not holding back. They are pushing forward into Squidward's spawn area. They are on their spinner area. They are set up. They seem like they're very assertive, very aggressive. They know what they want to do. They know they need to do X, Y, and Z in order to win this. So very strong start off here from Honkai.
Well, and both of these teams know they're playing for a $100 prize pool. They're both going to be taking it very seriously. Attempting to get the pencil with that hammer. They're not quite able to, but now pressuring the Brella. Probably not going to be able to quite find that pick. Zone somehow still hasn't flipped, but should go there. There we go. But a push to 35 is nothing to sneeze at. Honkai just needs to make sure they get in before Squidwards can get too set up here.
Yeah, they're gonna have to kind of play this carefully. I was gonna say Squidwards has already pushed up into their spinner and taking that space, so Squidwards couldn't quite push into Honkai as much as they would have wanted to. Honkai here able to push forward. Actually, even though Honkai has taken their spinner, I mean, look at this. Squidwards is doing a great job at not letting them come into the zone. I mean, the lead is within their grasp here too, within 10 points. So I'm interested how this is going to play out. This is a good, I think, counterplay.
It definitely was. Honkai managing to just get in enough to flip the zone, knowing that they don't need to keep holding after that, and they can take a second to regroup. Hammer coming out, looking to take out Hey, able to, and aiming for JJ now. Gonna probably be able to find that pick. There we go. And now going to annoy the pencil. A good game to play, to be fair. Didn't quite fully work out for them there, but Nilla got in, now looking to play cleanup. But something is behind them, it seems. Potentially?
Yeah, I was like, wait. I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, hold on, Honkai having 2 members down all of a sudden made me rethink everything there for a second.
But it seems like they're pretty comfortable still. They've got Azuka coming out, looking to take out the pencil. If nothing else, it's going to let them keep the zone neutral for a little bit longer. Finding the Brella, huge pick for them. Finding the splash, even better. Getting rid of those tri-strikes. Rush weak, but not taken out. And that's going to be Honkai having to back off here.
Yeah, Kabai there, the last member up with that squeezer. Gets out, really good jump in there from Lumi. I wasn't quite sure, you know, if they were gonna jump out.
Okay.
Oh no, the DC,
Oh,
Okay.
Well, that's pretty standard. Honkai now gonna have to try and get back in. Shouldn't be as hard as it was before, but they did still lose lead. This is a situation where Squidwards could find a way to keep it. Not gonna be able to, though. The brush gets taken out. If you're Honkai, you're feeling pretty good here. This is definitely after the point. I don't know the exact DC rules for this tournament, but generally speaking, for most tournaments, this will be after the point where you can get a replay. So at this point, Squidwards does just have to play this out, and Honkai's probably pretty happy with that, to be honest. You don't complain when you get an easy game.
Absolutely. You go, okay, we can sit back, make sure we poke at them. You know, feel bad a little bit, but also feel good that you're gonna be most likely able to win this.
And if you lose it, then your mental's shot for the rest of the set. Then you don't know how to recover.
True.
But it seems like they've managed to play this safe enough. They didn't take any unnecessary risks. They didn't go, oh, they're one player short. We're gonna go wild in their base. They luckily didn't decide to take that path, no matter how tempting it is. So that is game 1 going to Honkai. Maybe not in the most exciting way, but that's how it goes in Splatoon sometimes.
Sometimes it be like that.
They really do. So what I'm seeing is that we have a very interesting next map coming up, Rissa.
Oh, do tell.
Hammerhead.
Oh, okay.
I'm intrigued. I can see the Brella doing very well there.
I can too.
Definitely a map where lane control is so important.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like too, when we first saw them playing against Triggerfish, they weren't playing the Brella, and it seems like all of a sudden they've swapped to that in that set against Triggerfish, and now playing it again here in this set versus Honkai.
It's Mincemeat. Mincemeat is the name we forgot earlier.
That's it. That's the map.
There's the map. There we go. Sorry, I got excited when I saw it because it's like, yeah, that one. The Rainmaker map that nobody got checkpoint on for 5 minutes. I know that map. I don't know why that's one of my prominent memories of the game, but it is.
Maybe it's like a form of PTSD. You're like,
I don't know. I think I found it entertaining in the moment when I was watching that, knowing me. I like when things go wrong in Splatoon a little bit. Not DC's, but like, you know, a map that's a little wonky, that can be fun. Is it fun to play? No. Is it fun to watch? Absolutely.
I agree with you there. I definitely agree. As long as I'm not playing it, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Look, if I can get enrichment out of watching or commentating something very silly, it brings me a lot of joy, and Hammerhead is one of those maps where usually it can get pretty silly. Look, I would say if there was a Tent player, this is where they would bring out Tent, but I don't think Nilla's played Tent in a few years now, and that's just a distant memory at this point. So I don't expect to see any major comp changes here. It'll probably take us a second to get into this next game because there was a DC. Usually Sometimes players need to reset their routers, sometimes it just takes a second. But it seems that I was wrong, and we're getting into it even faster than I would have predicted considering the DC. Happy for that, and I'm really interested in seeing what happens here. This is where the map used to be, in case anybody wondered, on top of the bridge, back in Splatoon 1.
Oh my gosh, that's a distant memory.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, no major comp changes coming out here. We didn't really expect to see any. Should be interesting, though.
Yep, let's go ahead and see here what these two teams have in store. It seemed like that last game that we were watching, it seemed like Honkai initially had the upper hand, but then Squidwards was slowly starting to figure out what they needed to do, and we're getting to see that before that DC happened. So I'm sure they've got a better feel now. Let's see how they want to approach this. With two members going down of Squidwards, though, you can see the last two remaining members are just trying to run away from the other team to stay alive. They do get called out, though. Not much you can do there when a hammer is running at you with a squeezer, so.
Yeah, and really great awareness of Honkai here. They've been using their range really well so far this game, taking advantage of the fact that they do outrange a lot of Squidward's Tiki Land. Not necessarily the pencil, but everything else they can pretty comfortably play at range and deal with. Good pick there from Kabi. Not going to be enough to keep them alive, though, with Bazooka coming out there.
Okay, so Squidward's Tiki Land now in control of the zone. They don't quite have the lead yet, but they do have two members down on the side of Honkai. I didn't quite see how they were able to get those faraway picks because it seemed like a lot of them were kind of far back. Regardless, we got to see that Brella. We were talking about how Brella could be good here. Brella starting to push up there, but was team played out and called out there. So now with three members going down onto Squidwards, Honkai here able to get back to the zone. It seemed like they did a really good job at playing together. I think that's something I'm noticing from Honkai. They don't take 1v1 fights. They make sure that they call out where someone is and have someone play with them to make sure that they take down people together.
Yeah, it does seem like they're doing a great job at knowing where their teammates are and taking advantage of that. Kabi and Nilla kind of covering that left side together. Kabi actually rotating pretty fluidly between the left and right, trying to help out as many players as possible. And the edit just holding it down in the back, giving them support, giving them space to back up into, which is so important. Being able to back up is one of the most important things to be able to do in Splatoon.
Yeah, definitely. Being able to have that awareness of knowing, hey, wait, we need to back up right now, otherwise everything is going to completely fall apart. That's so, so important. That type of synergy you can have with your team is going to really, really come into play. And as I was looking at this... Okay,
Okay, Mox.
Okay.
That's a triple. That's almost a quad. Let's go, Mox.
Really, really good there. Great usage of that Octo Brush coming out. And something else I noticed too is I didn't even realize Squidward's Tiki Land switched over from the edit and has a pencil now. I'm realizing it just now as we're down to 30 points. So it seems like that is actually helping them a lot on this map as well.
Hammer coming out, looking to take out the Brella, going to be able to, throwing the hammer just to try and get that pencil out of position. Zone is neutral right now. But right now Honkai needs to cap it with 6 ticks left on the board. Hay being drawn over to Woomy, not going to be enough to get the zone over to Honkai, though. They are trying for every moment of neutrality here, but the strikes coming out should flip the zone back to Squidward's Tiki Land, and it'll be enough for them to take the game, going into game 3 and essentially making it into a best of 5 at this point.
Yeah, they are making the score tied up right now. So I think a lot of that, it seemed like I realized it a little bit too late, but once I realized, wait, they have a pencil now instead of that edit. And I think that was a really, really good play on them, because even though the other team had been able to outrange them that last game, this game now, with the pairing of the pencil paired up with Squidwards, they had that little bit of extra range to take on those weapons that were coming out from Honkai.
Absolutely. And playing any Splatling into any charger is a nightmare, but especially into pencil, because they're kind of you, but also they just get to have so much more range, just for fun. For no good reason, really, it seems. And that will be something that shines even truer on Mincemeat Metalworks. This is a map that, back at the start of the game, used to be dominated by E-Leader. I don't expect to see that coming out here, but puts it in perspective that this is definitely a very strong charger map.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised too if both teams end up coming out with a pencil. A lot of times, like you said, this is one of those maps where it's like, hey, you're gonna have the charger, aka the pencil right now in the meta, so we'll see.
Yes. It's just a very open map that has a ton of space on it, and it'll be interesting. Not even very open. It has a lot of sight lines for chargers. It's not particularly open. It's just that the charger can see everything it needs to see. But the edit sticks. The comps stay the same as the last game, and it'll just be about who manages to play this a little better. A little surprised that we're still not seeing any movement towards strikes on the side of Honkai, just because strikes are so good at helping you keep zone when you need it. But an early cooler coming out and early strikes from Squidwards.
Yeah, they heard you say strikes and they said, hey, speaking of, here you go. Yeah, right now too, within Splat Zones competitive, I feel like that's become kind of a staple within the last couple weeks, is to have a strikes player on your team in zones in particular. So yeah, we'll see how that ends up faring for them. Right now, a lot of chaos happening. Members going down on each side. The last member of Squidwards there, Kiki, called out as jump-ins come in. Really good jump-ins here too coming in from Honkai, because this is now allowing them to hold a lot of spaces. They were able to take the zone here.
Taro doing a good job backing off, allowing their teammates a little bit of space to try and back off into, but Squidward's able to just take advantage of it so quickly and just dominate that space before Honkai even has a chance to regroup. Woomy dropping down, getting taken out by the Octobrush. Definitely a hard matchup, but 3 players have gone down for Squidwards. Should be the zone going back over to Honkai here. Cooler at the ready. This could be a potential big push, or it could just be more skirmishing in mid.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It seems like Honkai, they have the right idea, they have the specials, they know to take zone and kind of start guarding it, but they're not necessarily pushing up and taking the left side or the right side. They're not pushing up too far, so you can see they're trying to really figure out how they want to play this as this game continues to go on.
The brush does get taken out there. The Inkjet's out, looking to cause some chaos, able to take out the hammer. That is a huge pick. Getting rid of that hammer should allow them to move a lot more freely. Now trying to find something that was here on this left side. The Squeezer has been taken out. Nilla trying to survive this Brella, getting help from the Wiper, able to survive there because of it. Woomy doing a great job of demonstrating why having a teammate just being able to come in and help out quickly is so important.
There's that team play that Honkai has been doing so well. They are making sure that even if someone is taking a fight, the other members of the team, or at least one of them, tries to rush over and help them. Right now, with one member going down on the Honkai, they still are in control of the zone. It is gonna flip here though, possibly with another member going down on Honkai.
It should flip here with these strikes.
Yeah, I was like, okay, the strikes, it's gotta.
Really great job there on the edits part of surviving that Zipcaster and taking it out. Now having to dodge the Inkjet coming out. Definitely a hard comp to play a backline like edit into, considering there's a pencil, there's an Inkjet, there's a Zipcaster. They're just constantly having to dodge for their life while still trying to get both picks and that cooler online for their team. But it seems like they've been managing it pretty well, and the hammer comes out, finds a pick, and now the zone should be going back over to Honkai here. There it goes.
There we go, Taro there with that edit. Was able to paint the zone there the last little bit. Cap the zone again for Honkai. They are still in the lead. Their penalty points are low as well, so they're doing a good job at just making sure that they keep getting the zone when they can. On the flip side though, Squidward's here. They are now the team that can't quite figure out what exactly they need to do. I like that they're consistently having that pencil on their snipe and having that as their anchor, but they just need to figure out what they need to do around that and make sure that they can play off of it.
Yeah, really good use of the Inkjet there, allowing their teammates to move forward and allowing them to flip the zone. The Brush managing to find a really interesting pick there, and now Kabi coming out with this Zuka, looking to find something, able to help Nilla out in a fight, it seems, but not quite capping the zone again yet as the trip strikes come out, but just the Pencil and Woomy. Pencil managing to find a pick through the strikes. Really great job there, but Woomy gonna come in and throw torpedoes and be a little bit of an annoying fly in the face of Squidwards.
Woomy there using those and then using the main weapon as well. I saw Zuka come out as well. You can see that they know that Squidwards is just kind of funneling through that snipe area, and they know that they just need to keep targeting that, and that it is working out really well for them here as we're heading into the last 40 seconds of this. They know the spot that they need to target.
And they're doing a great job of it, and now they've turned back to keep the zone painted. The Brush doing everything they can in that last little bit to try and flip it, but it's not enough. Honkai taking a second game here in this best of 7 set.
Okay. That game, you know,
Honkai looked good that game.
Yeah, I'm sitting here processing it. Honkai seemed like they figured out, okay, this Squidwards is going to be doing the same thing every single time, and they seemed like they knew exactly what they needed to do. They all just kind of focused the same area, and once they started doing that consistently, it worked out even better for them.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's a good map for Squeezer. I think Squeezer has a lot of angles it can stand at and get pretty good picks on thanks to those grates. Usually playing Squeezer from low ground isn't the best feeling, but I think on this map, it's a little different due to all the grates that you can kind of just stand under and go, I'm semi-protected around this corner. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely. And that Squeezer too, they can utilize, okay, I need to use my long range here and poke at the snipe, or if someone's going to drop on me, I can just instead use the shorter range and take on closer fights. So I agree. I think Squeezer's a really good weapon there on that map.
Yeah, and I know from experience both playing with and against Kabi that their Squeezer is a force to be reckoned with. Their aim is quite good, and they're very good at maintaining the consistent speed that Squeezer wants.
Okay,
So.
heading into game 4. We're headed into Nox's favorite map.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's definitely, favorite's a word. Favorite could be used, potentially. I think it's part of the words that could be used for it. Pretty neutral opening here coming out of both teams, both just kind of skirmishing, looking for an opportunity. The Brella really trying to push forward aggressively there, but not able to do a ton with it. Zone going to nobody, finally switching over to the hands of Honkai, but the Inkjet coming out and the strikes coming out, probably going to turn it back over to Squidwards pretty quickly. A classic skirmish in mid, just really kicking things off with a lot of fighting.
A lot of fighting as we're seeing 3 members go down throughout both of the teams here. Squidwards, though, they're holding the zone, and they're trying to play around. I was like, are we going to see the Brella rush the Zuka again? But Kabi here was able to just recognize that they were about to get rushed by that Brella, backed up, used their main weapon, and was able to help their teammates throughout that. Throughout all of that chaos, though, Squidwards here, still in control of the zone, has the lead. They're counting down past those 50 points. They just got to be really careful because specials are starting to come in from Honkai.
Yeah, Honkai doing what they can to find space to work with. The Hammer doing quite a bit there in allowing their teammates to get the flip on the zone. Getting the zone flipped there is absolutely huge. Squidwards was starting to get some significant points on the board, and they do really want to keep this held. But even just getting those penalty points gives them more time and space to work with in this game.
Squidwards now, I mean, they're being very dominant on this map. I think a lot of this is, for one, that Octobrush is really, really playing. Okay,
yeah.
Speak of the devil, right? There's the Octobrush, able to play off these ledges so well, takes down 2 members on the Honkai, and with the Octobrush just sitting on the left and the right stack, depending on where people from the other team are funneling in, that's a really, really hard counter. It's hard to counter that when it's just, Octobrush flapping above you.
Yeah, and Kabi having to play really far forward here for Squeezer, not going to be able to position necessarily the way they want. Woomy luckily getting in with that hammer, causing some chaos behind, able to find 2, allowing the zone to flip and forcing Kiki to jump out. Should be allowing Honkai to set up for a hold here, and the Edit's actually pushing up to a pretty aggressive position here with Nilla.
Yeah, I was interested on that too. It seemed like they were going to maybe utilize that left drop with their teammate. They went back for a second, now they're back on the drop. It looks like they are recognizing that they have the opportunity for a flank. That type of recognition it's interesting because it's like, okay, I wouldn't do that, but also the recognition of realizing you can do that with your teammates and you're the one who has that opening played out really good.
Yeah. I think having that awareness is definitely something that comes with a lot of time and practice on very kind of mid-liney anchors, like a heavy edit, where you can occasionally get away with taking a bit more risk. The Splatlings in general kind of allow for that. They are anchors, but not in the same way a pencil is. They are far more maneuverable, which is one of their big selling points. But also, you need to stay alive and help your teammates get in, and also, it helps if you can laser out a few picks like that. That was a great pick there from the edit. And now Azuka coming out, causing even more chaos. Nilla moving forward, looking to throw some suction bombs and keep Squidwards from moving in.
Squidward's here. There's those tri-strikes. They have their cooler ready as well. It looks like this is all playing out perfectly for them as 2 members do go down on the side of Honkai. Wumi, excuse me, there tried to hammer, maybe get some picks, maybe, you know, put a stop to any of the momentum that Squidward had, but you can see they backed up, were able to take down that hammer. Now Squidward's in control of the zone. These points are really close too, 31 to 30, essentially, minus those penalty points. I mean, it's pretty close. Anything could happen here, but as we go into the last minute of this, looking very, very good for Squidwards. They have no penalty points. They're about to go under the 10 points here.
Yeah, Zuka coming out, but not going to be able to be enough with Mox coming in from behind with that brush. The zone needs to be flipped. They don't have the players to do it, and that's our set staying tied between Honkai and Squidwards going into game 5.
Man,
Yeah.
it seems like it's not this is it seems like these teams, like, it's almost like map dependent, like one team or the other is just really strong on one map or the other.
Well, and let me attempt to look at the map list a little more, as I fail to remember how to use Sendo Ink as a treat for myself. But if we think about it, yeah, okay, I can remember. I can use my memory as a treat. Honkai has been doing better, I think, on those more long-range kind of maps. Because we first saw Museum and then we saw them on Mincemeat, and they just really were able to control which lanes people were entering through. They were able to have that super long-range pressure. And as long as they kept the pencil pretty shut down, they were able to kind of do what they wanted. Whereas Hammerhead and Mako, there's a lot more ledges people play around. The brush could be sneakier. They could hold weirder sharks. Maybe there's something to that.
I agree. I think you're onto something, absolutely. So then when we look at the next map coming out, you might think, okay, maybe Honkai will be a little bit more comfortable in this, since it's more open. Once you get to that middle area, you're going to be able to utilize the longer range there. An Octobrush per se might be able to get called out easier on this map. We'll see what happens moving forward, but just looking at it on paper like you laid out, that's what you would initially think.
Yeah, I might worry though about the Octobrush being able to really control the ledges. I would worry more if they were running a slosher. If either of them were to pull out a slosher, it would have been on Mako or here. So I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's likely, but this is a particularly good slosher map for being under those ledges and being able to heavily control them. The one thing I will say works very heavily in Squidward's favor is that it's a great trip strike map. The zone is the size of a postage stamp. Being able to flip it is really easy with strikes.
If you're able to just recognize in the moment, okay, we just need to back up and use our trip strike here, and that might be that breaking point. So I could absolutely see that coming into play. All right, headed into game 5. Score is tied up 2-2. Looking at these comps, no switch ups here. So these teams know the weapons they want to play. They're comfortable with them, and they just gotta see how they play them on each map. So let's see what happens here on game 5.
As we've seen pretty often, it's a pretty neutral start. Not a ton going in either team's favor. Wumi looking to move forward here onto Kiki. If they had managed to find that pick, it would have been huge, but they didn't quite. So we're just seeing Honkai and Squidwards both kind of having their anchors up, both kind of vying for mid. I will say Honkai has held the zone throughout this so far, though, which is very impressive. Wumi having to dodge this Inkjet, managing to live it, not able to clear them out on landing, but if they hadn't gone down there, they would have had to jump in the water. So Honkai now having a pretty strong opening hold and are already down to around 60 points.
Water level is dropping, so even more area is going to be on the middle of the map now that we've gotten past those 60 points. And with 2 members going down on the side of Honkai, this could be the opening that Squidwards needs. You can see they're pushing forward slowly together, able to take down. That's essentially a complete wipe onto Honkai. So now it's going to be up to Squidwards here to get set up. I'm interested to see where Mox on that Octobrush is going to position. Like I said, it's a little bit more of an open map. So if you're able to get in the right position though under those ledges, I could totally see that coming into play. Specials coming out here from Honkai. They're getting ready to come back into zone, but it looks like counter specials are coming out as well from Squidwards, so much chaos is ensuing in mid right now.
Absolutely. Really great zone flip there from Honkai. They wanted that. It helps a lot to get early penalty points on the other team. 2 players have gone down though. Hopefully they back off here to hold that space that they, and to hold some space and make sure that their teammates can get back in. The Brella looking to move forward onto the edit there. Not going to be able to, as we have specials coming online for Honkai.
Yeah, Honkai here, you can see they're coolered up. They were starting to push in, but it's hard to push in when there's a zip caster flying at you. Really, really good uses of the zip caster and using that timing to completely slow down the momentum that Honkai had going there. And man, they made sure that they really slowed down that momentum because they are just not letting Honkai into the zone right now. They're really utilizing that.
Yes, but we are seeing Nilla moving forward. They're able to find two, forcing the pencil to jump out. And Kabi probably going to be wanting to watch that left side with Nilla and Wumi on that right, potentially, it seems like. And we are going to be seeing two Zukas online, a Hammer online, just truly trying to deny any ability to drop in, but they take out Wumi. This could be an opportunity for Squidwards if the Zukas don't manage to take them out.
There goes one of the Zukas. I see them they use the other Zuka as well. And man,
That's a good shot.
Yep, these inkjet shots have been consistently good throughout these two sets that we've been seeing them use these inkjets. So able to take down two members of Honkai and able to get the zone back for Squidwards.
Yeah, really great awareness from Squidwards of knowing that they needed to get rid of those Zukas. They needed to make sure they stayed up in the process and managing to shut that push down. And I don't quite think there's enough time necessarily for Honkai to have more than one more push in, and even then it will be tight. There is a Hammer ready, there is a Zuka ready, but they're going to have to do this pretty quickly. Zuka 1 has come out, Zuka 2 is coming out. The Wiper is dropping in with that Hammer there. Moving forward, able to find one, looking to find a second, able to, just the inkjet left online, and that is the zone, flipping back over to Honkai, keeping them in this game.
Okay, excuse me, Wumi. That was the play of the set right there. Man, that got down to the wire like you were saying, Nox. Wasn't sure if they were going to quite be able to do it, but using the Hammer not only to help paint the zone and, tap it a little bit so that gave their teammates time to come paint it, but taking down 3 members of the other team as well. Great usage of that Hammer and using it at the perfect time, too, to make sure that they made something happen for their team.
But they weren't able to get a hold out of it. There are 40 seconds left on the timer, and it's going to be hard for them to get back in, especially with Wumi going down to some excellent shots from the pencil there. We're seeing jumps coming into mid. Super aggressive gameplay coming out here from Taro. Taro managing to cap, looking to move forward potentially. They need to make sure they don't overextend here, but able to find one, but go down in the process. I believe they were cooler. Oh no, they weren't. So it seems like they will be coming back in a little bit more slowly, but there is a Hammer online, there is a Zuka online. They just need to not let this inkjet take control of the game.
Yeah, they really got to watch these inkjet shots coming out. Because, okay, yep, I was going to say, they've just been consistently hitting their shots with that inkjet, so that if I was on the other side of that, I'd be like, okay, we really need to make sure we avoid this. Throughout all that, though, I saw Tri-Strikes come out there, help cap the zone there in overtime, and Squidward's Tiki Land able to take Game 5, so they are up in the set right now, 3-2 over Honkai.
Yeah, next game will be set point, if I remember how to count correctly, but I'm pretty sure I do.
You are correct. I think.
Great. I remember how numbers work, probably. It's always a gamble if I remember how numbers work. But it's been such an exciting set so far. That game was so back and forth. That is by far the most back and forth individual game we've seen so far. And there were great plays out of both sides. But yeah, Honkai really struggles at dealing with that inkjet.
They do. That inkjet is really, really, especially on that map, it seemed like the player was able to just utilize that inkjet and utilize the levels of that map to get up high and just get in positions where they couldn't even get poked at and just shoot down with that inkjet and safely inkjet, but also hit their shots with it too.
Yeah, which is always incredible to see. Inkjet's not a special we see as much of right now. There was a period where we saw quite a bit of it. It's definitely still a very usable, functional special though. It didn't get nerfed into the ground. You can still make it work, as Squidward's Tiki Land is showing off here with that Brella. Also, just to highlight this again, they're using a Brella. Who uses Brella? It's awesome to get to see. It's definitely giving them a lot to work with against Nilla and Kabi on those shooters. That's what Brella's best at dealing with shooters. That's how it thrives.
Good point to bring up. And we saw them not playing it initially against Triggerfish Zones, and once they switched to it, they're like, nope, I'm sticking with this. This is what I'm playing today, the rest of the day. So I could definitely see that coming into Splat Zone's Inkling Art Academy with the way that they've been utilizing. We saw them play the Umbrella and that Octobrush. They just consistently kept taking top mid, and it made it really difficult for Triggerfish Zones to get into the zone. So I could see them doing that again here against Honkai.
Definitely a possibility. It is a map that I think once Squidwards is set up on, they feel very confident in holding. I think it will be a matter of Honkai essentially not letting them ever actually feel set up, which is so much easier said than done. Kavi looking to move forward here on this left side with Woomy, but Woomy going down to a stray suction bomb. Strikes coming out, trapping Kavi in this corner for a second, and allowing Squidwards to really start moving forward, taking out the Squeezer in the process. And this is a rough position to be in for both sides a bit, but it seems like Squidwards is doing a great job of just maintaining control, keeping paint down, and not feeling the urge to rush.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. They're not necessarily pushing too far forward, and then on the other hand, Honkai kind of put in a position with that opening where they're saying, hey, maybe we need to just play really aggressively. I could have seen that working out, but initially there it didn't work out throughout all that chaos. Zone, though, in control right now from Honkai. There's that Inkjet coming out. A good team play there because they recognize, okay, this Inkjet has been a problem. 3 members going down on the side of Honkai.
Yeah, but
they're right back.
Coolered, so they weren't
right back.
worried about that. You take the players out in the process, you don't mind it so much when you're coolered. We do have a hammer online for Honkai to help them keep this zone held. You do have to either drop down on, you pretty much do have to drop down on zone here. Going from that right side is not often very lucrative, especially when there's an edit that can keep an eye on you. We are seeing the Wiper moving up here, probably going to try and take out this pencil, and has a hammer at the ready to clear out anyone that tries to fight them, but no, the pencil managing to hit their shots through the hammer. Inkjet coming out. At this point, Honkai should just cut their loss, take a push to 23, give some space, and it seems like they are.
Yeah, that was a good call to make sure you just jump back. A little team 1v1 happening there on the right side, each team having a member go down, but good on Honkai here to go back, reset. They have the cooler ready, they have that hammer ready too, so they're going to use those to push in. And they got to make sure they watch out for this Octobrush. You can see they're recognizing, guys, the Octobrush is here. Let's call that out because that could have turned out to be deadly. Honkai here now able to get the zone. And now they are the ones painting the sides, making sure they get their specials ready. And they're having members actually pushed up forward and took down 2 members of Squidwards on their side of the base.
Yeah, I will say about the members of Honkai, they are definitely not afraid to push forward. They are very willing to take those aggressive positions and try and get them to work. Able to take out the Octobrush there, just barely. Played that a little bit risky. Now having to go after this Inkjet, not able to find their shots in time. But they did keep the Inkjet from looking at mid for a moment, which is valuable in and of itself. And the zone is staying with Honkai for at least a little bit longer. Taro managing to avoid the shots from the pencil. Woomy trying to move forward there with Nilla. And that's a lot of pressure coming out. 7 ticks left on the timer, and that should be the game going to Honkai. And we're going to see a game 7 here.
Woo, we are going to a game 7. And these last 2 games too, the team that I would have thought would have been stronger on the map, it took a flip. So I thought, you know, Squidwards was going to be stronger on this map, but Honkai was very, very dominant on this one. They knew what to do exactly, and it seemed like once they started playing really aggressively into the other team here in particular, that really played out for them well. As you were saying, they're not afraid to push up and play aggressive.
On the other hand, that could also bite them in the butt. If you overextend, it can be so hard to recover from. You really do need to make sure you back up in time. You need to make sure that you have the ability to get out in case things do go wrong. It's Splatoon. Things will go wrong. But luckily, in that case, they were playing around each other well enough, making sure they had enough paint around their feet to just be able to freely move around and keep that space. And now we're going to be going to Umami Ruins. 2 dual zones in one map, in one set. How often do we get to see that?
Not
oh,
that
no.
often.
We're not seeing that. I forgot that Flounder was last set somehow. I got myself confused. Still just one dual zone. Disappointing for me. I like dual zones quite a bit. But Umami is a very cool map.
Umami is cool. It's one that I enjoy playing on. I don't know what it is about it. It's just, I don't know. I like that you can have time to stall your side of the map, your zone. Nothing is too rushed. I mean, you can get locked out but
Yeah.
I feel like it's decently
I think-
okay and easy to get back out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a pretty well-made map. I personally would love to see a crab come out here. I don't expect to. Yeah, no changes. It is a map that I personally love seeing crab on. I think crab is super strong here. But also, both of these teams seem very fond of their comps, so not surprised to not see changes. Already seeing the Sprella on top mid, looking to keep anyone else from being able to go there, which Brella's a pretty good weapon for that, but forced to back off by Kabi moving forward. Woomy able to take out the Brella, looking for Mox, not quite able to find it. 2 down on the side of Honkai now. Should be an early hold here by Squidwards.
Honkai there tried to utilize their aggressive play style, was punished for it, and this seemed like this exact thing happened on Inkling Art Academy when we were watching that last game against these two. So definitely still time to make anything happen. It seems like members are going down left and right on both sides. 3 members essentially down right now on Squidwards. It's just the Splash left alive. I like though that they're backing up, playing off. Ooh, and they were kind of bait. They baited themselves so that way their Octobrush could get that pick. And now with all of that happening, they are looking here to cap both of the zones. Slowly taking down members of the other team, and they didn't play that too fast. I like that they kind of played that a little bit patient.
They did. They did an excellent job of not rushing that there. We do see Azuka online here, but an interesting time to bring it out when the Inkjet's out, when they have consistently hit every shot on Zuka players from what we have seen. Maybe using the Zukas when the Inkjet's out, not the best idea. They were able to find the splash there with that Zuka, sorry. And now we're seeing Honkai wanting to really move forward here, wanting to get more points on the board. And Woomy going heavily after this pencil, saying, "You've done enough," and at least forcing the jump out. But the brush might be, managing to take out the brush too. But Honkai just can't manage to get a hold of it.
Yeah, they can't. They're trying everything they can to get these flanks around, like we saw with the wiper, trying to play around that, but they just can't quite get the zone to hold it long enough. Squidwards is consistently juggling their side of the zone, making sure that they're recognizing these flanks that are happening, and it almost seems like Squidward is recognizing, let's play a little bit more patient, because we're recognizing that Honkai plays really fast, so we just need to figure out how to counter that with patience.
And they're doing an excellent job at that. And we're seeing the pencil doing an excellent job of staying alive, but as I say that, Kabi rushes them down, able to get that pick. Inkjet out here, but gets taken down. That's huge for Honkai. And now they're going to be looking to set up just a few points to lead. There it is. And there's a Zuka. There's 2 Zukas online ready to go to keep this push alive. This is a pretty good position for Honkai to be in.
It is. This is a really good position, too, to be with those 2 Zukas. I mean, you can see where the other team is coming out of their spawn. You know, if you need to hit that left or the right side of the map with those Zukas, they use those Zukas, and there goes the hammer as well, just to try and solidify a little bit of that space that they're holding. With those tri-strikes, though, coming out from Squidwards, that's exactly why tri-strikes have been in the meta within the last couple of weeks for zones, because they can just help their team take these zones back and completely flip it just like that.
Absolutely. Really great to see that. We're going to see specials wanting to get online here from Honkai. Squidwards has them at the ready, able to make that trade happen. But the Inkjet coming out yet again, finding 2. Will they find the third? Not quite. That's a lot of damage to cause, as we are in game point here, and not many points left for Squidwards to take lead or potentially even knock out.
Yeah, Squidwards right now, they just need to hold the zone. They just need to paint over the zone, and they were doing exactly that. You could see 3 members up on top mid, just making sure that they were painting over the zone, painting over it as much as they possibly can. They're still doing that, and they are not letting Honkai come into the zone at all. They played patiently at the perfect moment there at the end. That was game point, and they have won the set versus Honkai.
Really great job there from both teams, but Squidward's Tiki Land figuring out that Honkai plays super aggressive and just going, okay, we'll slow down, we'll play patient, we'll make sure we have our specials, deal with it, whatever shenanigans you want to pull, and also, incredible Inkjet shots. Not much else to say about that. Brella doing an excellent job at shutting down the shooters, and even the Splatling probably, and just playing their space incredibly well.
I almost wish there was a way to know how many Inkjet kills specifically that player got, because they were just constantly getting them over and over and over.
Yeah. It felt like every time they went up an Inkjet, they got at least 2 picks, which is such incredible value.
Totally.
just incredible. Just what an incredible set. I love to see a game 7. Always the ideal when you get to. And both of these teams played so well to get to this point. They had to win an SOS to be here. And it shows.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So it's for those watching, Proving Grounds I believe it's shifting to a more invitational type of format. So this is the first one that they have tried for this. So hopefully in the future we're going to see a lot more of these with more teams being able to play them as well. I mean, I think this was a great starting point, like you said. This going all the way to Game 7
Yes.
I thought it was a treat to watch.
An absolutely incredible treat. Absolutely incredible games coming out of both of these teams. And Squidward's Tiki Land coming out of this with about $100, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, about $100. Yay! Congrats to Squidward's Tiki Land.
Truly incredible.
Yeah, I like too that typically I think there's supposed to be like maybe 6 or 8 teams on for Proving Grounds Invitational. Today there were only 4, but I did enjoy watching just the 4 teams because it really kind of allowed me to really hone in on these specific teams and really figuring out them, and instead of like a whole tournament of 100 teams or something like that.
I love invitationals. I love how much you get to figure out about the teams in those moments. You get to really see their play styles. You get to really see their strategies. And if you watch throughout the whole tournament, you usually can see them play multiple times throughout it, which is always such a treat and so exciting to get to see how they adapt to each different team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I like that. As a viewer and a commentator, I really enjoy that because I like to really get into the nitty-gritty of it and figure out what players are doing and what teams are doing and how they're working around each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is probably it from us. Rissa, where can they find you?
Oh, you guys can find me at Rissa High on X, and now the big move over to Blue Sky. So come on over to Blue Sky with us, Splatoon people, if you aren't there yet. At Rissa High. How about you, Nox?
You can find me on Blue Sky at NoxRaven42 and YouTube at NoxRaven42. I've been doing some interviews over there with some players, and it's a good time.
You have. Those are good. Yeah, if anyone watching, I've watched them. I've been enjoying watching them as of recent, as you've been putting them out. So definitely check those out if you guys are watching. Head over to Nox's YouTube. Shout out.
But I do believe we're going to be I believe we will be raiding a Splatoon land, so you guys should keep on watching if you can. Should be exciting. I believe it is the Houston one.
Yes. Yeah, we are going to send you guys over there, so thank you so much for tuning in to watch the first Proving Grounds Invitational. And that's it from us. Everyone, have a good rest of your day.